Good evening, everybody. We will now call the Manoa Neighborhood Board to order. And let's see, I guess before we start off, I'd like to confirm how many we have in attendance tonight. Can we just do a quick roll call real quickly just to see who's available at the beginning?
Okay. Okay. When I call your name, just say here. Zane.
Here.
Watson.
Here.
Bozel. Bozel. No. Okay. Nagaji. Here. Okay. Fukumoto. Fukumoto. Okay. Lumen. Lumen.
Here.
Okay. Lee.
Here. Sorry.
Kopp.
Yeah, Philly's here, so.
Oh, okay.
Give me the ball.
Kopp.
Fine.
Okay.
Okay.
Chomp. Chomp. Okay. Moylan. Here. Kawano.
Okay.
Kawano. Here. And Fox.
Here.
Okay. We only have 7. We don't make quorum.
Okay. Keep that in mind so that way we can revisit that later on. So first off, city monthly reports. Is someone here from the Honolulu Fire Department? HFD? Not hearing or seeing anybody right now from the Honolulu Fire Department. We'll move on now to the Honolulu Police Department.
Yes, good evening.
President, go ahead.
Lieutenant Mira from the Honolulu Police Department. You guys can you hear me?
Yep, we can hear you.
Okay. So statistics for last month: motor vehicle thefts, we have 9; burglaries 4; thefts 6; unauthorized entries into a motor vehicle, we have 6. Total calls for service 6,238. So the tips we're going to talk about today is car accident scams. I know scams have been in the news lately, so be aware of this scam when driving in a shopping center parking lot. You may be approached by a stranger who
Sorry,
accuses
Lieutenant,
you
you're
of
breaking up a little bit.
hitting their vehicle. Yes. I don't know. I can continue reading. I'm not sure how the reception is.
It's better now, but it's better.
Okay, well, I'll just continue then. Hopefully it'll be okay. So criminals will tell you that your vehicle caused damages, even if the damages appear to be old or from another incident. After showing you the damages, the stranger will demand that you pay them cash for the repair costs. Okay, so don't pay the stranger, basically. So if you pay the stranger, they will often demand more money once they know you are willing to pay the initial amount. If you refuse to pay, the stranger may threaten to call the police and tell you that your auto insurance rates will go up if a police report is made. The stranger is trying to discourage you from calling the police. If you are involved in an accident or unsure of if you caused an accident, call 911. Tell the officer what happened and let the officer do the accident investigation.
Thank you very much.
Okay. That's
All right. Members of the board have any questions for the police department? Member Fox?
Yes, thank you. Officer, I'm a member of the Assistance League of Hawaii, and I work at a thrift store on Young Street. This last last Friday we had a break-in, and I have the flash drive video of that break-in. This is a man who's very, very competent in what he's doing. He knows what he's doing. It took like a minute to come into the shop, break the front door, steal all of the high-end jewelry, and leave. So I tried contacting the police department, and they all hung up on me. So I didn't get to say anything. So I thought I'd wait for the neighborhood board meeting because yesterday was my experience. I would like to take a look at this flash drive, which the board of the Assistance League would like to have you review. Clearly, this guy is quite good at what he does, and my understanding is he broke into 4 other businesses on King Street, not in Manoa. This is, Makiki, Mo'iliili area. On the other hand, it's like it's always going to spread to us. So I'd appreciate it if you would accept my flash drive and review this. I recognize the guy myself. I can help you with figuring out, who you're talking about. So if you can reach out to me, I would truly appreciate that. And if you want me to drive down to the police department to submit this, I will be glad to do that.
When you contacted the police, how did you contact them?
I called them on the phone.
Did you call 911?
Yeah, and they said non-emergency. I said non-emergency. So I talked to the person in non-emergency, and they basically hung up the phone on me. So I sort of didn't have time to drive down to the station. I can certainly do that. I know where it is on King Street, on Baratini Street. But I thought, since I have an opportunity of talking with you tonight, I'll be glad to do that tomorrow if you think that's appropriate.
So I'd suggest, I'm not sure why that happened, the communications division, I'm not sure when you call 911, that's probably
They're not the police, they're dispatch. I mean, they don't, it's a contract, yeah.
Okay, well, if you call 911, just tell them you have the evidence that you want picked up regarding your case. They can send an officer to come pick it up. Or if it's better for you to see an officer in person at your convenience, you can drive down to the main police station. You can drop it off, just reference the report number. And there has to be like a chain of custody for it, that's why.
Well, they didn't give me any, they hung the phone up on me, so I don't have a report number at this point in time. Should I call and ask for an officer? I hate wasting your time,
okay.
But if you need me to do that, I will do
No,
that.
that's okay. Okay, so you never did file a report then? Is that my understanding?
Yeah, they hung the phone up on me, so of course I wasn't able to file a report.
Okay, well, maybe if you want, you can try call back again and just say you want to initiate a report.
Okay.
Yeah, and
Well,
if not again, you can always go down to the main police station and you can initiate it there.
Okay, thank you.
Sure thing.
Member Moreland?
Yes. Last month I asked for a map showing the locations of car accidents in the neighborhood over the last year. Is that information ready?
Yes, so the other lieutenant, I think he was working last month. He had mentioned that. He reminded me about that. So the request, he said he did submit the request for that information. He didn't, he just talked to me today. He said, because he knew the meeting was coming up, he didn't get that information back. So he knows that it needs to be followed up on. This is for the motor vehicle collisions, correct?
It's for what?
For the motor vehicle collisions? Is that the one you're asking about?
Yes.
Yeah. So Lieutenant Nakamura, he put the request in. He didn't get the information back, but he understands he needs to follow up with that.
Okay. Well, since a month has gone by, could we not wait until another month, and then when he gets the information, just email it?
Okay. You have a specific email?
And feedback. Oh.
Whoever, yeah, thank you for whoever was that. That was. So go ahead. I don't think we'll have feedback anymore.
Okay. I was just wondering if when the lieutenant does get the information, if he could just email it rather than waiting for another month. since it's been a
Okay.
month already.
Is there a specific email that you're wanted to go to?
Mine, which is on the list of emails for the board. Or you can have it go to the board and they can send it to everyone. That's fine.
Okay.
Either one's
Okay.
fine with me. Thank you.
Okay. Member Bozel?
Thank you, Chair. I was curious about this Chinese cemetery property has had a number of large events in the evening, multiple times. I was wondering if you guys had any statistics on how many times that has happened, because I know the police have come out to that property for multiple times.
You're looking for any particular statistics, just in general, like how many times the police came out there?
In the past year, let's say, or how many times they've been called out for noise complaints. Or I don't know exactly what the complaint is. I assume it's noise, but I know that they have come out on multiple occasions when it's been very loud, very crowded. And I'm just curious if you know how many times that's occurred.
I don't.
Yeah, if you don't mind, Lieutenant, I'd just like to jump in on that question too, because I've seen the police break up what looks like large parties of college students going on to some kind of property in that alcove of trees at the base of the Chinese cemetery from Manoa Road in the back of the valley. Um, I've seen, I mean, again, large numbers of what look like college student age attendees, slightly older maybe, and just if you can look into that and tell us what was going on over there and some statistics, we would appreciate that for the next meeting.
Okay. I'll try to see what they can do. It's hard to just grab statistics like how many calls, that kind of stuff. So usually if it's a certain address, that can kind of help. It's hard to just ask communication division like, hey, how many calls did Manoa did you get for the last 6 months or whatever, or within a certain area. Usually if we can narrow it down to an address, that'll help. I mean, I'll try to see what they can get. I mean, if it's just the general area, like that area of the cemetery, or
No,
usually...
it's a specific address. It's along East Manoa Road, just across from where Akaka Place joins up. It's
So, officer, it's roughly 3368 East Manoa Road.
And I know it's not just that they've been called. I know they've responded. I've driven by when there's been like 4 or 5 police cars there, and I can see on other occasions I've seen the lights from where I am. I can see sort of out to the light. So I know on multiple occasions, many vehicles have responded to calls for that address.
Okay, so you're just looking to see how many times the officers went out to that address?
Yeah,
And
maybe
also,
in the past year or something, past 2 years. Yeah, thank you.
And also, if you could explain if you can help us understand what's going on over there as well, a little bit of background, like what what's been going on there, especially with like if it's some kind of like underground dance or drugs being distributed there, or what's been. I mean, I just want to know what's going on at because it's such a huge event. Whitney, remember, also saw 5. I saw 10 police cars at that breaking up one of those events.
Yeah, and I can think of at least 4 occasions in the last few months where the police have been called to that place. So I'm just curious. I didn't really count, and I'm curious whether they would have a count.
Okay, we could try to see what we can gather.
Thank you.
Thank you. Member Nagaji.
Thank you, Chair. I just wanted to bring something up to the to HPD from a friend of mine who lives not in Manoa but in the Ili Macaulay area. She said that there's a street she lives on. It's a Villa Lane. That's a villa spelled Villa Lane. It's between South Britannia and Young Street, and she said that there's issues with like homeless people going down that street and like using the bathroom in people's yards and that kind of thing, and like breaking people's homes. So she just wanted to ask that I mentioned this at my next neighborhood board meeting. You send patrol cars down Villa Lane since it's just between Beretania and Young.
Yeah, we can definitely bring that up. Again, if it's always easier rather than, I guess, just try and blanket, just say send more patrol cars. If somebody sees something, the best way, if it that way it can be addressed, if they can call 911, that way the officers maybe can catch somebody in the act of doing something criminal. That would help anyway. So, but yeah, we'll bring it up.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
I believe um sorry. Oh, is that Laura?
Yeah, Laura Ruby, yes. Yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
I have a question for the officer. Are these people in these large congregations, these party of young people, are they all on mopeds? Because there's this whole stream of mopeds that are going around through our whole larger Alawai watershed community and sort of wrecking havoc. They're driving very crazy and they go through the streets with extreme noise and everything. Is that part of the group that you're talking about? I think it's probably UH with social media people doing something.
I'll respond to that because I brought up the moped issue before. I don't think that I have noticed a particular correlation between these big parties and the mopeds, but I definitely have heard the mopeds. And they're usually much later, like 2 o'clock in the morning, and they will tear through the whole valley up and down all the streets. I've heard that, but I don't think that's the same group of folks.
Could be different ones.
Yeah.
They could be, the ones that I notice in Mo'ili are about 10 o'clock in the morning on Sunday. They're all racing down to Waikiki beaches or something. And there's a huge number of them that race all the way down. And I don't know, they probably are going through other parts of the larger community also.
Yeah, they're definitely coming through Manoa too.
Anybody else for the Honolulu Police Department? I'm not seeing any. Lieutenant, thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Let's see. Do we have Dominic from the Board of Water Supply in attendance?
Yes, I'm here.
Yes. Go ahead.
All right. Let's see, not much to report. March 26th, we had an 8-inch main break. This is fronting 3228 Oahu Avenue. Portion of the main was removed and repaired, placed back in service. April 14th to April 20th is National Detect a Leak Week. So the Board of Water Supply is partnered with Hardware Hawaii in encouraging people to check your homes and residences and places of business for leaks. Very often, leaking toilets are the biggest culprit of wasted water. Normally, it's a very easy fix, whether it's just a weathered or aged flapper valve that needs to be replaced, or a couple dollars. You can always go to our website for tips on leak detection in the home, www.boardofwatersupply.com. And on April 17th, so Wednesday, April 17th from 11:30 to 1 o'clock, the Board of Water Supply is going to have a informational booth sharing information on leak detection. And this will be at Tamarind Square, so Bishop Square there. Again, that's Wednesday, April 17th from 11:30 to 1 o'clock. We'll have a booth. There'll be some games with prizes and information being disseminated. And at this time, I'd be happy to take any questions on behalf of the Board of Water Supply.
Thank you. Member Kawano.
Thank you, Chair. Hi, Dominic. I wanted to know
Hello.
if Stephen Nordstrom is still working with your department.
He is. Stephen is in our communications department.
Okay, the reason why I'm asking is I was trying to help a resident find out how to replace a broken cover for shut-off valve, and I just didn't hear back from him. I wasn't sure if he's still there, or is there someone else that I should contact?
I spoke to, this is, I'm sorry, could you provide me the street name again? I forgot.
I'll message you. It's a separate
Okay.
different
Okay,
address.
yeah. Oh, okay.
I wasn't
Yeah,
sure if he's
Stephen-
still there or not. I just
He's
didn't
still
get
there.
a
You can
response.
send me, yeah, you can send me a message and I will touch base with him in the office.
Okay, thank you.
Have him respond.
Thanks.
Anybody else? Hearing, seeing none. Thank you very much, Dominic.
All right, thank you.
Next up we have I believe we have the Honolulu Fire Department now. Go ahead.
Hi, everyone. I apologize. I was here at the beginning. I just was having tech issues. I couldn't hear any. I could see everyone, but I couldn't hear anyone. I apologize for that. But I am here. Chris Edwards, Honolulu Fire Department, Manoa Station. I'll go over the stats for March and share the safety tip. So incident statistics for March 2024, there was one structure fire, one cooking fire, and 9 activated alarms with no fire. We had 47 medical incidents, 3 motor vehicle collisions, and those are the statistics for March. Our safety tip for the month is about evacuation planning. We recommend that you have emergency preparedness plan ready in case of environmental emergency, fire, or natural disaster. Know 2 ways out of your home and consider the route you will take if you need to evacuate from your neighborhood due to an emergency. You can visit fire.honolulu.gov to learn more. Leave early enough to avoid being caught in fire, smoke, or road congestion. Establish a predetermined location such as a well-prepared neighbor or relative's house, a low-risk area or shelter or evacuation center. And take your emergency supply kit containing your family and pets necessary items. That's our tip for the month.
Thank you very much. Let's see, members of the board or the community have any questions for the Honolulu Fire Department? Hearing, seeing none. Thank you very much. Glad to hear
All
the
right, thank
equipment
you.
worked out okay at the end.
Thanks.
So we'll move on then to Mayor Belange's representative, Kim.
Good evening. Happy spring. I think last time we talked, it was technically winter. So happy spring. Happy to see everyone. Couple of announcements and then I'll get to responses from last month. So I put into the chat the newsletter for the mayor, a couple of things that we want to highlight in that. Hopefully you'll take a closer look at. The city signed an agreement with the Department of Health to open up a behavioral health crisis hub in Evilea. This is part of the layered approach that the mayor and his cabinet and all of the departments here, along with our partners at the state, are taking to address, the homeless, houseless issue. There's no one size fits all, so it is a layered approach, and this is one of those really important things that we need to do to help get people off the street, get them the wraparound services they need, give them the space to address any trauma issues, to start making some good choices. And so we're really proud of that it's not only the city providing the space, but in partnership with the state to provide those behavioral health services through their funding. I think many of you have seen that the city did purchase the old Tokai University, also known as Waikiki Vista. And we're happy to say that the Royal Hawaiian Band, for the first time in its history, has a home, permanent home for them. It's a place for them to be able to store their things, practice, and really thrive in a stable situation. So we're really excited about that. I announced last month, but also want to remind everybody that on April 25th at 6:30 p.m. in the Manoa District Park Gymnasium, we will have the mayor's town hall meeting for this area. We've had 2 already. Third one will be tomorrow. But we welcome you all to come, bring your questions. It's a open mic, frankly. So, come with your questions. The mayor is the moderator, and then the full cabinet is there so that we have the expertise in the room to answer your questions and you walk away with answers. Even if it's not an answer you want, we promise that we're going to answer questions. And if we don't have the answer, we do exchange cards and we do follow up. So hope to see more of you there this year than we saw last year when we were at Alawai, since this is in your backyard. An update from Parks and an announcement from Parks. The Manoa Valley District Pool will have some deck lighting repairs being done between April 22nd and May 3rd. So the pool will be closed for that. The hope is that everything will be done and the pool will be back to full functioning. There is a possibility that there might need to be some follow-up work, so stay tuned for that if that's the case, but they're really hoping that that takes care of it, and everybody will be safe and the lights will be all up to speed there. So with that, we'll get to some of the questions from last month. The first one had to do with the draft environmental assessment for the Banyan Court. And generally, there is no deadline for that as long as it stays in accordance with current planning permitting regulations. So if something changes in that, they would have to come back before they finalize it, but it can stay a draft as long as it needs to stay a draft. So hopefully that answers your question, I think it was Mr. Kurshige that had asked that question. With concern to the Alawai footbridge funding, I want to just clarify. I put some things in the chat last month, but just clarify a little bit of the funding. So when you look at the bill, there's codings in there for what it's being used for, but also where that funding is coming from. So just because it's on a city bill doesn't mean it's actually city funds, right? So we still have to process that through the council and they have to approve that we're using primarily federal funds for this. Anytime there's federal funds, there's generally a cost match. And for that, we're using the state's highway improvement bond fund. And so this is not, it's not, 60 some odd $1 million coming out of state taxpayers. So I wanted to update that. Member Watson, thank you for the heads up on the feral chickens in Manoa District Park. The Department of Parks and Recreation and the Customer Service Division will be working with Sandwich Isle Pest Solutions, who is the state's contractor, and they're going to add that parking lot to the list of places that we'll be servicing. So thank you for that heads up. And then the last question that I had that unfortunately I wasn't able to answer, and I had to follow up as well with our EMS department, was whether or not the core, so that's the crisis outreach team, was working 24/7 yet. And as I suspected, not just yet. They are working 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. right now. They do some nighttime operations on a case-by-case basis, but that's not generally their hours. We're proud of this team. There's about 35 of them right now. So as you can see, there's not enough people there really to do a full 24-hour shift. But really the goal by the end of the calendar year is to have that up to about 65 island-wide. So it's a great program. We're slowly rolling it out, making sure that we're doing good work there. So just wanted to give those updates and those responses back, and then open it up to any questions that I can either answer or follow up on.
Thank you very much. Let's see, members of the board, any questions? I'm not seeing any. Members of the community? Oh, Brett Kurshige.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Hey, Kim, thanks for following up on my question from last month. Hey, just a heads up, when the mayor comes to Manoa for that town hall, he should expect some questions about that policy, because it is, to me, extremely unfair that the communities who are affected by this draft EA had to scurry about during their holidays to come up with the response to that draft EA, and the developer, the submitter of that draft EA, it seems like they have an unlimited time frame to respond, which to me is fundamentally wrong. Some of the things in that draft EA are no longer valid. So why isn't there a set time limit? Anyway, just a heads up, and I appreciate you following up on that.
Noted, and I'll make sure that whether it's the director or deputy or both, whoever's there at that meeting, if you're going to be there, we can talk more, and we'll make sure that they have some talking points for the greater good.
Right, since the DPP may be there, and his cabinet.
Yeah,
just
somebody will be there for sure.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate it.
We're all there.
Okay.
Let's see, Member Watson.
Thank you, Chair. Kim, about that same thing, it seems like, the public has 45 days to weigh in, and that's it. And then the developer as years and years and they don't have to do anything. And and I understand that that's the way it is. What needs to happen so it's no longer like that? There needs to be an expiration on these permit permit documents. Let's say permits have been approved and then the developer doesn't build for 20 years and then they want to build. I mean, they need to expire. And the same is for the EAs. Um, that developers need to respond back to the public. They just don't get to sit on their laurels for 5 years and get around to it. And I understand that that's the way it is, but what needs to happen so that that changes, so that permits have a lifespan, and if you don't build by X number of time, it expires. And an EA or a response from a developer has a finite time period. And if they don't respond by that time, they have to start over. So what needs to happen so that that can happen? Because that's just something that should happen. Yeah.
And I appreciate the way that you phrase that question too. Like, what do we do to fix it? Right. So I have noted for that, and we can, we won't go into it here because it's, as you know, many of these things are complicated, funding and whatnot. And so it may look like nothing's happening, but sometimes waiting for financing, right? So make taking that into account, right? And being realistic about that and fair about that. But I appreciate that. And I'll talk with DPP before the 25th and make sure that we have some good answers for you.
Okay. Ellen?
Oh, thank you, Chair Zane. Kim, I just wondered if you could restate the date and time for the town hall in Manoa, and I wonder how it's being advertised. Maybe I just missed something, but I wasn't aware of it till just now.
Sure, it's April 25th, 6:30 p.m. at Manoa. And I'm typing at the same time, which is probably a bad thing to do for a blind person, but Manoa District Park. So it says it's in the gymnasium. There was a press release that went out with all of the dates and times. There are 11 scheduled so far, and Mayor dropped the bomb on us at the first one. There might be a few more so that we cover the island a little bit more. But we're happy to say that we do have 11 on the schedule so far. So it's going to take us we started the week after the State of the City, and then we're going to be going through June every Thursday night throughout the island. There's that. It's in the newsletter that I posted into the chat as well. I know that in my department, we're pushing it out through our social media. I just don't know if traditional media is necessarily picking them up. So I can talk with our comms team though and see what their strategy is.
Okay, thank you. If you have any flyers that you could send out somehow for those of us that might want to post them, up at the marketplace or whatever, that would be great. Since a lot of the kupuna in the valley probably don't do social media, and that might be a better way for them to see it.
Great point. And I don't believe that I have your email. So can you either message it to me unless you want everybody to have it? Okay.
Thank you.
Yep. Anybody else? I'm not seeing anybody. Kim, thank you very much.
Thank you all.
Next we have Councilmember Say.
I can't have my video on. Do you folks see my video?
Yes, we see you.
Okay, great. I'll be not only brief, but it might be a little lengthy. First and foremost, as far as what you folks all realized was a fire in Manoa. The cause of the residential building fire in Manoa was accidental. Did the HFD make that presentation to you folks this evening? Robert?
Actually, they didn't touch upon that much, but thank you for bringing that up. I completely missed that news about that fire in that apartment building across the Morning Glass.
Correct. So the Honolulu Fire Department investigator has classified the cause of the fire that occurred on March 30th of 2024 at 2948 East Manoa Road in Manoa as accidental. The point of origin was a recalled power adapter for a laptop computer. The damage estimated is 120,000 to the property and 3,000 to the contents. Okay. Next, I do believe you have my report, but I also like to highlight some of the topics that we are discussing right now. Excuse me, that's my dog. That the announcement would be that this past 2 days we had a budget presentation by the city and county of Honolulu, the mayor's departments, and we're also trying to address the curb ramp project, which is under the design and construction advice on 2024 Manoa, Oahu Avenue, and Kamehameha Avenue. I'm sorry, that's my dog barking at one of the residents. October 2024, work is expected to begin on weekdays from 8:30 to 3:30 p.m., excluding holidays, at Manoa, Oahu Avenue, and Kamehameha Avenue. Also in my report are the website links on the LOI watershed, the U.S. Corps of Engineers, the Complete Streets annual report, homeowners handbook to prepare for natural disasters, homeowners handbook at the final edition, and for Mrs. Chong, a feral chicken flyer. CIP is for Manoa. I think Kim did a great job. We have Manoa Street, Poleo Street flood control improvements, Manoa Valley District Park, and the long-term projects as far as Manoa Banyan Court. I have no update. Manoa Stream, I have no updates as far as the cleanup. Paradise Park, we are still continuing to work on it as far as getting an opinion from the Corporation Council. And the LOI flood control project is also a long-term project. Robert and members, moving on, I have a lot of issues in regards to requests by our residents of Manoa. The first one is the excessive noise from playing pickleball at the Manoa District Park. In Upper Manoa zone for townhouse rentals, we all made the request to DPP. Safety concerns at Nihoa and Ponoho Street intersection. Overgrowth at 3441 Pipa Place in Manoa, which is a potential currently hazard. Illegal rock wall on public street in Manoa. One of our constituents is requesting assistance from HPD to regulate and possible cite people that are car racing in the surrounding streets and parking at 7-Eleven every night from 9 p.m. to 3 a.m. They are racing up and down on Metcalf Street every night. So we did send a riser out to that. Another update was in regards to the Ponoho Chalet permit for proposed plumbing repairs. One of our residents of Manoa talked about concerns regarding Manoa Valley District Park on a leash dog area. So we're talking with the Hawaiian Humane Society and the Department of Parks and Recreation. And then we have the other issue in regards to Punahou Street traffic calming, installing a left hand. So those are some of the issues that the Manoa residents have conveyed to my office. And this past 3 days, we did have a lot of budget hearings on the city and county's budget. And there are some projects that we have incorporated into the budget on behalf of Manoa residents. Okay. I'll be happy,
right.
Robert.
All right. There we go. Member Fox. Robert, you're muted.
There you go. I'm sorry. I wanted to thank you, Calvin, for supporting the neighborhoods in refusing the high density ordinance that was being put in front of you. That was very incredibly admirable of you, and I really, really appreciate that. Thank you for standing up for us.
Thank you very much. But it was also Andrew, Carol, and all the other state elected officials that played a part in it.
But I appreciate that you were there for us, Calvin, and we all owe you a great deal of gratitude for that stance and for your statesmanship and what you said. So
Yes,
I
thank you.
appreciated watching it and participating.
Thank you very much.
Great. The only other thing I have for the future, California, by the way, is addressing the same issue at the moment. As you know, I keep properties in California. And the state legislature of California is proposing new legislation that will override every single county and every single city in the state of California regarding density, housing, zoning, everything. If that wins in California, it sets a tremendously bad precedent. So our job is not done yet. Clearly, I'm funding opposition to the legislature right now. We have some really insistent, I think, are inappropriate people in the legislature wanting to forward that kind of crazy law. Honolulu cannot afford to make the mistakes that California has made. The writing is on the wall, and all we have to do in Hawaii is look at the disaster which has happened in Portland, in Seattle, in San Francisco, in Los Angeles, in Long Beach. If you want Honolulu to become like that, follow the same stupid path. But I know that you have wisdom, and I appreciate your help.
Thank you very much. Okay. Yes, please.
Member Koff.
Robert.
Joan, you're still muted.
Just speaking again to reinforce the idea that to make Hawaii so take the beauty of Hawaii and make it so unattractive by buildings that are 15, 21 stories tall, and just in our backyard, it's just not going to really serve us well in the end. We need a better approach, a more sustainable approach. And beauty should be emphasized in our buildings always. And I think that we should encourage developers to spend money on beautifying their projects. Really ugly, big buildings that blight the skyline are really not a nice thing to happen to a city. I'm from New York City originally, so I can tell you stories about neighborhoods raised and just for high rises, and it changes the whole way of life as well. Living in a high rise is not like living in, where you walk outside and see your neighbors. It's not like that. So it's, if we want to preserve this kind of a lifestyle we come to love, we really have to work at it together. And thank you.
No, Joan, you're correct. And I can see what your concerns are because I hate to say this, but our predecessors have said that the designation of District 5 is all part of the district called the primary urban center, where growth is to take place. And that was in the 70s and 80s. And that's where I think a lot of developments are now occurring in our District 5. I am very much concerned since I do represent the district of the Valley of Palolo, St. Louis Heights, Kaimiki, Kapahulu, Manoa, Mo'ili Makali, Makiki, Tantless, and finally Ala Moana Kaka'ako. So that's the pressures I'm feeling today. And that's where I would need your advice and ideas and support about what is your vision. Right now, the city and county of Honolulu is going through a public hearing process in regards to the Oahu General Plan, the development plan, and the sustainability plan for each of the sub-districts that are created. So for District 5, we're all part of the primary urban center, and I'm just trying my best to pause for a little, to reflect for a little what is really happening. And I think your point is very much well taken, Joan. And I agree with you because, yeah, when I was growing up in the district of, in the Valley of Palolo, I could see some of the beaches of Waikiki, and today it's all high rises. So is it evolution? Is it part of the growth of the county of Oahu? I really don't know, but I have been fighting for District 5 because if we have the highest density on the island of Oahu, we deserve more of the services also, because you, the residents of Manoa, are paying the taxes for those services. But thank you very much.
Thank you.
Let's see. Anson, who over there has their hand raised?
Laura.
Laura Ruby.
Okay. Sorry, we're still on members of the board right now, Laura. So in the meantime, Member Watson.
Thank you. Yeah, so Senate Bill 3202 passed the committee with amendments, yeah. So now that crossover happened, right? So, so it will go on to conference committee. So unfortunately, it didn't die. So the state may well approve for residential parcels in all residential neighborhoods to be divided so that people can build duplexes or fourplexes or whatever, and developers can come in and just buy it and knock down the house and build a fourplex and sell them at extreme prices. And there's nothing to say that it will be affordable prices or affordable rentals or anything. So it's really bad news that they passed that, because conference committee, of course, is horse trading behind closed doors. So I don't know what chance the public has to stop it, but it's ludicrous. But anyway, I did
Ellen,
want to mention
Ellen,
that passed the
yeah.
hearing on the 1st, yeah?
Ellen, your point is very well taken, and I have to commend our state elected officials who all voted no, and for myself who voted for the resolution to not support the measure. I would say this, that yes, it is going into conference, but maybe it's a watered down. I really don't know. But I took the position, and I think Robert is correct. Enough is enough as far as what is happening, as far as county home rule, Oahu development plans that we have developed as a county, the Oahu general plan as a county. Are you saying to me, to the state legislature, that you folks don't not recognize, the county general plans? And that's the reason why I said what I said. And Robert got to hear me on the resolution that we had passed to the legislature to not support it. Thank you.
Member Bolsel?
Thank you, Chair. Representative Say, I wanted to
Oh,
say.
Correct me. Correct you.
Oh, I'm sorry, Council Member Say. Yes.
That way I don't offend Andrew.
I'm sorry about that.
Oh.
I also wanted to really thank you for your, opposition to SB 3202, and also the statement that you made. I don't know if it was elsewhere, but I saw it in KHON. You provided a statement to them regarding SB 3202 and your opposition to it, where you said in part the fact that District 5 has limited and aging infrastructure, ingress and egress roads are already strained beyond capacity. I agree with everything that you said in the statement. I think it was a really fantastic statement and really showed that you stood up for the community. I do have a question, which is, considering all that you put in this statement here, knowing the Manoa Banyan project is still on our radar, still seems to be, as far as I know, when I last spoke with DPP, they said that they tried to renew the sewer application, which had expired in February. That's still under review. So that project is still trying to be pushed forward. I'm curious, since last I heard you are still planning on running again, whether you feel like, knowing the Manoa Valley community's opinion on this, which they have come out very strongly for. We've had a number of very, very well attended neighborhood board meetings. We had a town hall. Hundreds and hundreds of people have weighed in on this. More than 150 people from the community wrote in comments during the EA process. Do you feel comfortable saying that you would support the community in their position on a project like this that is looking at adding 288 units in the back of the valley? Again, an area that, according to the PUCDP plan, is very different than the front of the valley. There is a distinction in the PUCDP about areas of Manoa, Mo'iliili, Makili, Makiki, the area that this project is going in is very far back. And so all the things that you
Yes.
said in your statement, I believe fully. And I'm wondering if you feel like you can say now that you would not only vote against this project, but try to convince other city council members, if it gets to that point, to vote against this project,
Let
considering
me
all.
start off, Whitney. If there's an argument to make, I do support senior housing. Okay, that's one. I may not support the conceptual plan that they have, which is was it 288 units?
Yes.
Okay. If there is open room for discussion with the community that this 288 is way too much, would you folks be
I
willing to
don't believe
consider?
there is. I know that the community has tried to speak to the agent applicant Lin Yicheng Association, and
Yes.
they have never wanted to budge on that. But I guess I'm curious if it gets, by the time it gets to city council, there won't be room for what the number of units are. They will already have finalized those plans. So at that point, I'm wondering,
At that point, if it's going to be a 288, let me say this. I will not support the 288, but I'm open to having them negotiate something on behalf of the residents of Manoa.
that is substantially different. I mean, like 275 units is basically the same thing,
Yeah, I know what you're saying, but that's the discussion we need to take as far as having the community's involvement and the neighborhood board and the Manoa and all organizations in Manoa.
Okay. And yeah, okay. I just was curious whether, since, if you're still planning on running, if you felt like, as we last heard, I know that there are some health concern or, considerations.
There is a health concern, and I'll be very honest with all of you. But at this point, I'll make a decision probably by May or June. But June is a deadline for the filing of running for re-election. And I've been very honored and privileged to represent you folks the past 3.5 years.
Okay, thank you.
And finally, Whitney, thank you very much for emailing me. I did call you back, and I'm sorry I missed you.
Oh, okay. I believe I got a call from somebody in your office, a message.
Okay, yeah.
Yes, that you would be attending in person. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, so I've also been reminded that it is already almost 8 o'clock. So if we could keep comments and kind of streamline what our thoughts are more succinctly, we'd appreciate that, because we have quite a bit more on the agenda to go to. Laura.
Yes, council members say, I'd like to ask if you would be agreeable to a meeting with the Alawai Mauka Community Association regarding the budgetary items that you might be putting in for the proposal for a bridge across the Alawai Canal. Now, this concerns our whole watershed. And you were saying that Kim, who just spoke, said that it was the State Highway Improvement Fund matching grant. If you could hold off on something like that, would you be agreeable to doing that at a meeting with us with budgetary concerns? And you also said in another statement just previously that you would pause on certain other things also. We would really appreciate it if you would meet with us and if you would be able to make that recommendation that the budgetary matters be held off on that while it's still pending for a much fuller EIS. Thank you.
Well, okay. Robert, may I respond? Okay. Laura, in the budget that we just viewed and researched and did a lot of homework and having hearings on it this past Monday and Tuesday, there is a proviso in the budget of the capital improvement budget of the Department of Transportation Services if they could consider lowering the height of the bridge. And I believe Andrew, who is with my staff, can you get her a copy that you could maybe email it to Laura to show the budget proviso that we had inserted?
What is the height, please?
I can't recall. Just asking the Department of Transportation Services to consider lowering the height. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, like 20 feet, 20 feet tall.
I can't be specific, Laura.
Okay.
Because I don't know.
Maybe tomorrow night when I talk to you at the next meeting, I will,
Yeah.
maybe I'll get an answer.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I believe there was somebody else's hand that was raised, but I don't see it anymore. In which case, I think that's it for now. Councilmember Say, thank you very much.
No, thank you very much, and it's nice to see all of you again. And Whitney, I'm around just at 8 o'clock. I punch out. Thank you.
Let's see. Senator Fukunaga.
Howdy, everyone. I'm going to be very, very brief. I did distribute my report to the neighborhood board a little earlier, and I wanted to kind of thank Ikinakea Development because they made a presentation to the Manoa board as well as the McCully board last month. And we subsequently asked them if they would consider, providing a public comment period for neighbors. And so my report just highlights, two of the projects that they are going to be allowing public comment on. And I think there will be a representative from Ikinakea also at tonight's meeting. But I did want to kind of let people know that, they are accepting public comments. So if you do have questions or concerns, please utilize this time between April 5th through the 15th to let them know if you do have questions. Other than that, I am happy to take questions. We're kind of on the verge of our second decking deadline, so a lot of bills are in flux. The contents are going to be known by Friday, but we'll be voting on our next crossover next week. And so in the meantime, please stay tuned.
Can I say something? Can you all hear me?
I'm sorry, who is this?
Ella? Can you,
Ella.
can I say something?
Oh, okay. Yeah, we can hear you, Ella. I don't see members of the board have any comments, so go ahead.
Yeah, so I am about the Ikena development, and I saw that because I was hearing earlier that Senate Bill 32022 was passed, and then what is the status for the HB 1630, House Bill 1630? Is that passed too?
No, House Bill 1630 was it crossed over to the Senate. However, I think in light of a lot of the discussion that occurred around Senate Bill 3202, the Senate chair decided not to take action on that bill. So it did not move before the second lateral deadline. And so most of the attention was on Senate Bill 3202, which was heard yesterday.
Okay, and so they passed it, and so the reason why I'm concerned is they're building or proposing to build this high rise right next to me. I'm already living in a condo, and then they're going to build right next door. But I live right by two schools, Marino and Punahou. The traffic is already bad. So when they build another one there, and they want to have one parking stall for each unit, if people have two drivers in there, then they're going to park on the street. There's no space in there, and anyway, I just wanted to know how we can stop that from happening here. They can build elsewhere, but not here when there's schools and students, and it's just too crowded.
I think those are the kinds of concerns they need to hear from neighbors. So I certainly encourage you, Ella, to provide your written comments. I know that school traffic is really a big issue in that neighborhood. So I think the more that we identify where people may have concerns, the better during this period.
Who do I write? Who do I write to?
Let's see. I can direct you to the chat. I put a link to my report, and I did include in the report their website. So you can either send them a email or post a comment on their website.
I don't see it on the chat. Are you able to just, is it an email address or?
Let me see. It's a link. I posted it at 7:22 p.m. So if you go to that link, you can click on the report, and it will kind of also refer you to their website.
Yeah, I'll work with someone to find that, because right now I can't see it. I only see one, which was the mayor's monthly newsletter. I see only that at 7:22. Oh, I see another one. Yeah, Councilmember Say's newsletter. I see that. And the helpful links. Is that there? Did I write to?
I think you just keep scrolling down, but just if you can work on just keep scrolling down. But in the meantime, Anybody else have any questions for Senator Fukunaga? I believe Dave Nagati's hand is raised.
Thank you, Chair Zane. Yes, so I have a question for Senator Fukunaga, or not sure if this is a question or a suggestion, but I wanted to ask you about it, which is for not this legislative session because we're obviously too late in the game to be introducing bills, but next legislative session, I wanted to ask if you'd be interested in putting in a bill regarding the 201H housing law, because I remember last year in 2023, you put in a bill that would have made it so that 1H construction can't be built in conservation or preservation land. And I wanted to know if you would consider the idea of putting in a bill to make it so that 201H is limited specifically to transit-oriented development, because it's my understanding that was the original intent of the idea when it first got brought up. And now we do have an operational rail line, so it might be a good time to try and revisit that and put it back to the original purpose. So is that something you'd be willing to consider putting in and fighting for during next leg session?
Certainly. In fact, I know that other legislators have also introduced legislation, including Representative Garrett, Representative Nishimoto, and others. So we'll continue working on the 201H issues.
Thank you, Senator.
Member Kawano.
Thank you, Chair. Hi, Senator Fukunaga. I would like to add to what Dave had just said. You know, if he can sponsor a bill. In addition to that, 201HC, I think there was like a 45-day if there's no action by the county or the state, it automatically become law. I think that's very troublesome. Because they barely give any of the residents or community any time to read about it, learn about it, and discuss anything. I would like to have that be removed or expand to maybe a 90-day period. So, you know, a lot of meetings don't only happen once a month. So right after that, you already lost 30 days. If you can also incorporate this, and then the other request is, you know, having that striked out an EA is, I think is a bad idea. So really wanted to, if you can help us work on this, modifying the 201H rule, I think that will be very helpful to everybody.
Okay, happy to work with you and others on the neighborhood board. You know, this is an issue that has recently arisen partly as a result of a change to the EIS rules from 2018 forward. You know, these kinds of projects no longer were required to file an environmental assessment. So that has removed a lot of public information that, you know, used to be available ongoingly in the past. So it's really become a major concern for neighbors because it's much harder to get information. So I definitely happy to work with you.
Right. Thank you very much. Yeah, I mean, a lot of us are understanding that we're in times where we need a lot of housing, but I felt like, you know, just building it anywhere, any place, whenever, fast as we can is not a good approach. It really should incorporate all the input and make good consideration and build good housing and not just say, you know, throw a bunch of money at a developer, let them do whatever they want. I think that's not the right approach, but thank you again. Appreciate your help.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Anybody else have questions or comments for Senator Fukunaga? Hearing, seeing none. Senator, thank you for your time tonight.
Thank you.
Next we have Representative Garrett. Representative Garrett, are you here? Anybody from his office? I'm not hearing or seeing anything, so I'm going to skip that on the agenda. Elmer Ka'ai said that he was not able to make it to tonight's meeting again, so we're going to move past that on the agenda as well. Next is Governor Green's office.
Can I read the questions I wanted to ask Elmer into the record? He said he would be here tonight, but I wanted to read it into the read them into the record so he can have the things available for the next meeting.
It's best you probably contact him directly on that one.
Already. But I'd like everybody else to be aware of the situation also.
You could send me your questions and I can just email him.
I already emailed Elmer. I wanted to make sure that this is a recorded program and that those were on the program. That's what I wanted to do. It would take me less time than I just talked now to you to read them.
Again, it's best you probably submit them to have it in writing on the to Anson's to be able to have that on the minutes of the meeting at that as well. Lacey.
So, will they end up in the meeting minutes, Chair, if she just sends them to him? I don't think so.
You don't think
No.
No.
It won't be.
She said
Thank
it's
you for
very brief.
Yeah, thank you for correcting me on that. Laura, go ahead.
Okay, very quickly, reading, I said, I asked him previously about where the dorms at UH.
Can you speak louder, Laura? Can you speak louder?
I can if they give me the microphone somewhere closer. Can you hear me now?
We can hear you.
Okay. I had asked Elmer earlier, I said, were the dorms at UH 100% occupied? And if not, how many open slots are there? This is all for future planning and traffic and everything else that comes. And what are also, what are the food court hours? Why has there not been a bed for delicious food and drinks there? And why do these close so early and they could be open for community groups and study with food and beverages? How many recreational areas are there? What is the number of students using these facilities? And what is the capacity? How many community study areas are there? I know Sinclair is a work in progress. And what is the number of students using these areas in the day, afternoon, and evenings? And as you might realize from my questions, many of us are concerned about the new master plan and the lack of data. And this is what I'm stressing here in the questions. The data for this plan and the lack of collaborative grouping of faculty, staff, grad and undergrad students in this plan. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Lacey, please go ahead now.
Okay, thank you. So I'll make it quick, just a couple of quick highlights from Governor Green's newsletter. So a lot of progress was made in March for Maui's recovery. We're currently moving from the short-term recovery stage to the midterm recovery stage. And the Green administration is working with the U.S. Fire Administration to deploy 16 wind sensors and 80 new beta wildfire sensors with 24-hour alerting capabilities that can detect wildfires before they start across Hawaii. Also, Governor Green proclaimed April as Tsunami Awareness Month. So for information on Hawaii's tsunamis, you can go to hawaiitsunami.org or ready.hawaii.gov for more information on preparing for tsunamis and other hazards. And my last update is about a CIP release of funds. It was approved by Governor Green on March 13th, 2024, in the amount of $2,550,000 for design and construction to renovate, improve, and modernize East-West Center, Honolulu campus buildings on the University of Hawaii Manoa campus. And the estimated completion date for that is June 2026. Other than that, I will stay on for the duration of the meeting in case there are any questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any comments or questions for the governor's representative to pass along to the governor? Hearing, seeing none. Oh, there's a hand raised. Go ahead.
Just clarification, was it the NOAA building or the Noelani dorm that's being refurbished? Which building are you talking about at the East-West Center?
It just says East-West Center Honolulu campus buildings on the UH Manoa campus. I can get clarification into which buildings exactly and report it back at the next meeting or earlier.
Yeah, okay, there's two that are pending there. The NOAA building is going to be designed for a new building for grad students. And then the other one, the Noelani dorm, people have talked about, it's been out of order for a long time. Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Okay, thank you very much. Let's see. Do we have Congressman Ed Case's office on here? Okay, I don't see anyway from Congressman Case's office. Representative Garrett was. I just see the message from Representative Garrett saying he was logging on. Is he in or is he in the waiting room? Ah, there he is.
Hey, Chair Zane, sorry about the delay here. So still at the Capitol here. Apologies for missing my first turn, but I just did put my newsletter, my spring newsletter, which hit district mailboxes over the past weekend. We do have another major deadline coming up this week, which is second decking, which is the point when just kind of the deadline before second crossover, where we send the bills back to the originating body. But just wanted to thank this community for stepping up regarding Senate Bill 3202, which is an urban development bill. I've been working with my colleagues behind the scenes to try to educate them on what the challenges are, or the implications of this bill on established communities like Manoa. So I'm sure you folks know, I'm sorry, I'm not sure if you folks already covered this bill in other reports, but the bill was basically amended on Monday to remove the subdivision component as well as the two ADUs. So there's not much left in the bill, but I'll still continue to vote no out of concern about what this bill might do longer down the road here, because we still have another month left in session and weird things can happen. But just in the interest of time, I'll just stop there and see if there are any questions regarding what's happening at the legislature and see if I can answer them. Thank you, Chair. And again, my apologies for logging on late today.
No problem. Let's see. Anybody who has any questions or comments? Member Nagaji.
Hey, Chair. Hello, Rep. Garrett. I just wanted to really quickly ask ask the same thing that I asked the Senator Fukunaga a few minutes ago, which was about 201H policy. Since there were considerations, I think last year about potentially trying to restrict 201H exemptions to so they can't be built in conservation or preservation districts. Would you support the idea of trying to change the law so that 201H can only be done as a transit-oriented development, such as near the rail line, which I think was the original idea behind the policy? So I was just asking Senator Fukunaga, and since you just signed on, I wanted to ask you too, is that something that you would consider introducing maybe next session?
Sure. No, Vice Chair, thanks for the question. I think that certainly makes sense in terms of getting to the original intent of 201H. I think we've seen some urban infill projects that don't quite make a lot of sense in terms of the impacts. Although we clearly have a need for more affordable housing. I think it is important that we think about some of the impacts and of that program. We actually just heard a bill now that would require 201H projects to have a residency component. So only Hawaii residents would be eligible for these kind of programs, because a lot of these projects that are approved, they have like basically a 10-year affordable housing requirement. And then after the 10 years is up, they're able to sell it to investors or market rates. So, I do like the idea of focusing it on Hawaii residents. If they're going to, get all these tax breaks and whatnot, variances, it ought to be for local families. So I think that's one thing that makes sense. But yeah, Vice Chair, I think it makes sense, to kind of revisit that issue around TOD and the original intent. And that is something I'd be open to if I'm back next session. As you know, I do have an election coming up this year, so I don't want to assume anything, but that is something I'd be interested in introducing. So thank you, Vice Chair.
Thank you, Representative.
Member Fox.
I am deeply concerned about this. What the vice chair has brought up is a critical issue. It's about putting the cart before the horse. Again, since I'm so familiar with California and I know the mistakes we've made, I've got to share this with you, Representative Garrett. We did something called a density bonus in transit-rich areas. When it started, it sounded like trains and planes and whatever, but it turned out by the time they were done, they said any bus stop was a transit-rich development. What they did was exempt parking from all of these buildings. Wonderful. So the developers made a fortune because parking is a very expensive component of development. And if they didn't have to build the parking, yay! Wasn't that great? They got to build these units with people who had no cars. Now, let's get real. The fact, and I don't want to spend too much time talking about this, but listen to the common sense here. We are on an island. We do not have mass transit. We have the bus. We have spent 20 years trying to get the rail to be finished, which it still isn't. It's been a boondoggle. It's a huge controversy, and we will never see the finish of it in my lifetime. More than that. And yet, we want to build things with no parking. As you know, in Waikiki alone, trying to find a parking space is absolutely impossible. The rate of parking is extraordinary. $350 for a parking space in an uncovered area. People, if you want affordable housing people cannot afford $350 a month for parking on top of the rent that they're paying already. I own units in Waikiki, so I mean, I'm one of the. What? I'm not finished. I've got to finish this. The problem also is this. They're talking about electrical vehicles, and I get that. But we have never, ever built the infrastructure first for electric vehicles. You could not drive an electrical car to Haleiwa and back without charging it, and there are no charging facilities. When we're developing housing and you're linking it to transportation, you must think of what our basic infrastructure is regarding the people who are going to be actually living in these units. I beg you, please, to reach out to us so that we can inform you of what the consequences of this are. What we've developed in California is absolutely abysmal. People hate it. They can't even, cities have abandoned buildings because nobody wants to live there. They can't get to work. If you don't have transportation, your work options are down to whatever you can walk to or bicycle to or moped to. That's an economic driver of upward mobility of economics. So please rethink this very carefully. It's not as, oh gee, let's build affordable housing. It's not that simple an equation. Everything is quite complex. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Member Fox. Sorry, your audio was cutting in and out, so I'm not sure if I heard it in its entirety, but I think I got the gist of it, but thank you. So yeah, kind of related to TOD development. I mean, I understand what you're saying about, parking requirements and whatnot, but, I did introduce a bill. Unfortunately, the Senate killed it, which is regarding the Aloha Stadium project itself. Unfortunately, they decided that it's more important to build a stadium at this 100-acre site than affordable housing. I think this was a real lost opportunity. At this point, they talk about how there's 4,500 units that are going to be developed as part of the surrounding community around the stadium. Of that 4,500, only 20% is going to be affordable, which I think is very unfortunate considering that we have a fully built transit station there. Of course, right now it's kind of a train to nowhere because it doesn't, it's not going to come into downtown until 2030. It might be 2050 before it ever gets to Manoa, by the university, which I think would actually be a game changer in terms of traffic and other things. But I'm sorry, someone just said something. But okay, I'll just stop there and see if there's some other question. But thank you, Member Fox.
Yeah, no, I don't think there's any other comments regarding that, Representative Garrett. Reminders for the board and everybody else, again, please, if you're not speaking, please mute your mics. Also, again, I'm reminded that we are limited in time. It's already 8:18. There's a lot more on the agenda. So if you can summarize your thoughts on these matters, it would be greatly appreciated. Do I have any other comments or questions for Representative Garrett?
I have one. Can I speak?
Who is this? I don't see.
Ella, can you see me? Ella?
Okay, Ella, go ahead.
Okay, so for Representative Takuya Garrett, you mentioned it was amended, Senate Bill 3202. So
Yes, the urban.
Amended down to?
Yeah, so they actually removed the allowance for owners to subdivide their property down to a 2,000 square foot lot. So I think that was one of the biggest concerns, right? Because if you think about like the Woodlawn community, there's a lot of R10 lots, meaning residentially zoned areas with 10,000 square feet. The concern was that that lot could be subdivided down to 5 2,000 square foot lots. And then the other component was the 2 additional units. So you could have ostensibly had 15 residential units on one 10,000 square foot lot. So I've been trying to, educate my colleagues about the impacts on an area like Manoa. We already know its infrastructure is not sufficient. We all deal with parking challenges and whatnot. So the
Right.
idea of one house being taken down for potentially 15 units was very concerning. I understand there are some scenarios where there might be like, multi-generational, like say someone, a grandparent wants to tear down their house and build a house for their kids and their grandkids. That might happen, but my concern was that this would basically be open season. Like, if any residential property came on the market, you would have these very, overzealous investors coming in, buying these properties and just maximizing it, as much as possible. And there was also no requirement that these additional units be affordable by any means. So I think these were some of the concerns that, the urban Honolulu delegation, if you will, had concerns about this bill. So at this point, the bill is, the ADU requirement, our allowance for 2 additional units has been removed. The subdivision process has been removed as well. So these are positive developments, I think, for our community. But we still have a month left in session, and weird things can happen because the bill that the Senate sent over to us allows these things. So these are the kind of things we have to work out in conference committee over the next few weeks here. But I'm going to continue to hold firm with my opposition to this bill because I don't think this is the right way to go about building additional units to kind of go about this densification of urban Honolulu to get these areas. So thank you, Ella, for the question. Hope that explains where things are with SB 3202.
Yeah, I was just wondering if that had to do with the Ikinakia development.
No, this is a little different. So that project is basically a condominium development and an urban infill project.
Yeah.
The SB 3202 is more the residentially, the single family home lots that we
Okay.
see in our district.
Oh,
But I mean, I have concerns about that project as well too, considering traffic impacts and
yeah.
other
Two
impacts
schools
as well.
there. Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you, Ella.
Any other comments or questions, for Representative Garrett? Seeing none. Representative, thank you for your time.
Okay, thank you, Chair. Again, apologies for my late entrance in today's meeting. I think by the time we have our next meeting, we're pretty much going to be wrapping up the legislative session. So I'll put my email address into the chat box here. So if anyone has any questions or they just want to share their comments about bills that are moving through the legislature, please feel free to reach out. I always, respond personally to every email that comes in. So just want to thank you guys again for your time this evening. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Next up, we have filling of vacancies on the board. I put this on here because some people contacted me with interest on joining the board. Are those people in attendance at this time? I'm not hearing anything though. Member Fox? Robert, you're muted again.
My friend Joseph Mishrashi is here on our meeting. Mishreki is his last name, and he just purchased a beautiful home in Vancouver. And we have vacancies in Lower Manoa. So he's like a block from my house, and he and his wife Christine just had a baby. They're wonderful people, and I would love to have him join our board. He's just wonderfully responsible, delightful guy, pharmacist, very professional, and he's been restoring this wonderful historic home in Lower Manoa. So he's on our call, and hopefully he can unmute and say hello.
Yeah, thank you, Robert. Thanks for the introduction. I would love to help with serving the board and serving the community. We, like Robert said, we just purchased a home, and we're very grateful to be able to live in a community like Manoa. So yeah, I'm excited, and just being able to listen in on the meeting as well. It's really nice to be able to stay informed with what's happening in the community and the major concerns as well. So it's nice to know that to be able to hear all those voices and see if there's any way that I'd be able to contribute as well.
Thank you very much. And Joseph, quick question. Did you confirm with Anson and the neighborhood commission that you are living in one of the sub-districts that has a vacant spot?
I guess I confirmed indirectly via Robert Fox, but I can confirm after this call if you'd like me to take that offline.
Anson, since you before we go to a vote on this, I just want to see Anson if you need to confirm his address before consideration
Yeah.
of him.
Yeah. Yes.
You just tell them your address on Vancouver.
I need like to see a license
And a utility. Yeah, sure.
and a utility bill.
That's what I had to provide.
Yeah, of course. Not you don't need me to flash it on the call right now, right? So
You could just send me it through the chat, and currently I'll just confirm it, and then you just send me an email.
Okay. Yeah.
Show me with your address and a bill. Is that possible?
Sure. Yes.
Okay.
Joseph, while you're working on that, you can try to send that over to Anson. In the meantime, Anson, I'd like to do a roll call vote at this time to make sure that a roll call to make sure we have enough members of the board to take actions.
Oh, sorry. I was going to say member both had a question, but if you're roll calling ticket quorum, then never mind.
Yeah. So, Anson, if we can do roll call for, do we have quorum?
Okay. Zane.
Here.
Watson.
Here.
Bozel.
Here.
Nagaji.
Here.
Fukumoto. Okay, he's not here. Lumen. Lee.
Here.
Goff.
Here.
Chong.
Here.
Moylan.
Here.
Quano. Patty. Okay. Fox.
Here.
Okay. Yep, we have quorum. We have 10 members. If
Okay.
Patty's here, that'll make 11, but is she still here?
I see that she's still on the call, but she's not answering right now. So maybe she just stepped away from the computer for now. Member Bolso, you have your hand raised?
Thank you, Chair. Mr. Mishraki, can you tell us a little bit more about yourself? Where did you move from? What do you do? Have you been involved in, boards or neighborhood event, any community related events beforehand?
Yeah, very good question. So my background is actually moved. I'm a transplant from California, Southern California specifically. My wife though grew up in Hawaii. She grew up in Hawaii Kai area, and so she kind of made it precedent at the very beginning when we were dating that you're either coming with me or you're not. And thankfully, I also have always loved the Hawaii community, just in the visits and whatnot with my family. And so it worked out really nicely. And so now, being that we have our new board, we've taken the step to officially move over here. And again, we were privileged to have the ability to also purchase a home here in Manoa. Yeah, so in terms of my background, with anything neighborhood council related, I don't have very extensive background. I'll humbly state that I'm very much a beginner in being involved in a council like this. I do have sort of leadership experience in both my job as well as working with other volunteer organizations and things like that for medical missions and whatnot. But in terms of working with a neighborhood council, I will humbly state that I don't have very much of an extensive experience or background in. But what I miss in experience, I also have in my eagerness and ability to sort of network and get to know the community more and help out as much as I can.
Member Nagaji?
Thank you, Chair. So I would just ask to Mr. Mishreki, since you kind of saw about halfway through one of our meetings, and since I'm sure you have interests that you're coming in with, are there any particular issues or topics that you're interested in talking about or trying to work on as a member of the neighborhood board?
I don't at the minute. Being that we are new to the community as well, I would rather just sort of listen on some of the other ongoing issues and see what's already been in process and do before ever stating what I think or should happen in the community. So I guess I'd just humbly more take a backseat and sort of listen in and chime in and what I think might be issues and whatnot that I would support. And as I get to know both the community and also this council.
Okay, Member Watson?
Hi, Joseph. What do you do for a living?
I'm a pharmacist. I actually work in a different setting though. I'm not on the counter counting pills. I'm actually more behind the scenes. So I actually work for health plans. And so I do a lot of what's called formulary planning. So we basically take a look at all the recent and new medications that are out on the market. And from that research and all that data, we take a look at to see whether or not certain medications should be covered and things like that for the health plan. So it's both a clinical and both an administrative role, which is really nice.
And Anson, you have your hand. Is somebody over there have a question? Ah, yes. Yeah. Member Morley, go ahead.
I imagine you're providing the proof of residency, but which sub-district do you live in? We have one vacancy in 3 and several vacancies in 4.
In 4.
As Robert's suggesting, it's in 4.
Yeah,
Great.
he's in 4. Yeah.
Sub-district 4.
Yeah,
Perfect.
our house is pretty much right by the east exit of Punoho.
Yeah, that sounds like 4.
Okay. But if you could, can you please email me, send me your information?
Yes, of course. I'll do that right now.
Okay.
Yep. Thank you.
I'll send you my email so you could just email me it.
Okay.
So if he emails that stuff, then we can vote him in, yeah? So
Yes.
Joseph, send that stuff, yeah?
Yeah. So Joseph, you can send that stuff in. Anson, put the hand up for the area when you receive that, and you can verify Joseph's address. In the meantime, we'll move on to other items on the agenda for the sake of time. Okay.
Yep. We can come back to this later.
Yep, we will come back to this later once Joseph gets the information to you. In the meantime, do you have any updates regarding well actually let's do the take it out of order on the agenda. Update on the primary urban center development plan.
How about we do the next agenda item, which is approval of the minutes? So I make a motion to approve the minutes because that's the next one.
Yeah, we do have enough quorum to do this anyway. So let's go ahead and get this out of the way. You have a second?
Make the motion.
So motion by Member Watson, seconded by Member Nagaji. So that's for Anson's sake. And any opposition to the approval of the minutes for March 6, 2024? Hearing none, the minutes are approved with unanimous consent. Moving on then to item C regarding the primary urban center development plan.
There's nothing new update from that. Again, the primary urban development plan proposes no development Mauka of Wilder as far as that pertains to Manoa, but apparently the folks at Senate Bill 3202 don't know how to read the primary urban plan. So that's why they propose such a ludicrous thing. But anyway, so the primary urban center just says nothing Mauka of Wilder.
I'll just add to that in that there was a hearing in front of the I'm blanking on the name, a commission, and it passed unanimously through that. So it's still going through the process of being approved. And there were a couple of very small changes, but they were in the Kahala area primarily and Kapahulu. So yeah.
Okay. Updates on the Manoa Banyan Court project.
I believe I mentioned this earlier, but just so that it's at this moment, I last called DPP on the 22nd and was told that the applicant, we know that their sewer application had expired back in February. They have requested for that to be renewed, and DPP is in the process of reviewing it. DPP said they do not have an estimate for how long that will take, but so at the moment they don't have sewer approval process, but they are still pursuing that. They have, and that was the last time I spoke to DPP, was on the 22nd.
Okay. And updates on the Alawai flood mitigation project.
Oh wait.
Oh, sorry. There's a hand raised regarding the Manoa Banyan Court project.
Yes, right. I would hope
Laura,
that
go ahead.
Yeah, go.
I would hope that all of you would insist on a full EIS for the Banyan Court project. It's the draft EAs are always very slim. They're a minor way of looking at something. Your infrastructure is going to be tremendously impacted. And I just want to say one other really quick thing. I was at Punch Bowl last week, and there are a huge number of mausoleums being built into the hillside and do not intrude on a peaceful experience of being in there. I know that the Banyan Court people rejected that idea outright, but it would provide the revenue they need for long-term maintenance. What they're building into this, why you should ask for their budgets, is because they're building in monies for their trustees and everything else. So there's a lot that needs to be said about letting them go through with something that's called the draft EA. Thank you.
All right, thank you. And let's see. Any other comments? I'm not seeing any. Any member of the board want an update on the Alawai flood mitigation?
Sure, there's no updates. It's still the tentatively selected plan, but we're hoping that that plan doesn't go to a final plan and that we can somehow incorporate the Swift Tunnel project of Oceanet into that. And Senator Fukunaga also wants to include sea level rise. So that's where it stands right now. It's just kind of in limbo, yeah.
Okay, I see Benita has their hand raised.
Is it, I'm asking a question?
Oh, no, I'm recognizing Benita at this time first. Benita? I'm not hearing her, so I'm going to go back to
Hey, you're on mute.
Laura. Oh, Laura, go ahead.
Everything everything Ellen said is correct and things that it should be asked for. The thing that I would like to say, and please keep this in mind, those flood mitigation walls are like the Berlin Wall all around the Alawai Canal. And if you want to think about how that looks to not only us as residents, but how it's going to really attract the tourists. The problem is the Army Corps of Engineers has decided, and this is done repeatedly, that they're going to put the walls up. There are many other solutions down at the lower end of the Manoa watershed. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Let's see. Before we go into presentations.
This is Benita. This is
Oh,
Benita Axton speaking. Can you hear me?
Yeah, go. Now we can hear you. Go ahead.
I actually just wanted to say something about Joseph, the candidate, and I just wanted to give a character reference. I know him. He's a neighbor. And since I think most of you don't know who he is, but he's my landlord's son-in-law, and I've met him and talked to him. So I just wanted to give a positive character reference for him, since no one else other than Robert seems to know him. That's all. But
Okay,
my time
thank
ran
you.
out, so I took my hand down. But thank you for remembering.
No problem. Before presentations, Anson, just to follow up, did you get Joseph's information yet?
Oh yeah, I got his ID. It does say he lives in Vancouver Drive. So it's District 4, so it's okay. We can do the voting process if you want to.
Okay, perfect. In which case, let's do the voting process now before we go into presentation, since there are resolutions
Okay,
on
so
the
I
agenda as well.
nominate him to be on our board. Is there a second?
Oh, you don't need a second for these.
You don't need a second for this one. I believe also we have to do a roll call vote on this one too.
Yes.
So go ahead and do a roll call.
Okay. When I say your name, please say the last name of the person of the volunteer who's filling in the vacancy. Okay.
How do you spell that?
Yeah. Wait. Say Joseph.
What?
Say Joseph. His name. Just say his first
Say
name.
his first name.
Just say his first name.
Yeah. Okay. Zane.
Can we
And
just hear how you want your last name pronounced so that we
Yeah, I was just about
it's
to
on record
clarify.
now?
It's Mishrecky. Like if you think of Shrek the character and then just add Mi at the front. Mishrecky.
Okay. Zane.
Joseph.
Okay. Ellen.
Joseph.
Okay. Bozo.
Joseph.
Okay. Nagaji.
Joseph.
Okay. Lumen.
Joseph.
Okay. Lee. Lee. Okay. Ka.
Joseph.
Okay. Tom. Tom.
Did you say Chong?
Yes.
Joseph.
Okay. Moylan.
Joseph.
Milano.
Mishraki, I'm gonna try to learn to say your name.
Okay. And
That was very
Robert.
good. Very good.
Fox. Okay. That's 10 votes, so now he's part of the board. For Subdistrict 4.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Great. Awesome. And at this time, I do believe you also need to do the oath of office. Anson, if you and Joseph can go through that, we'll take a 2-minute recess so that you can get that out of the way.
Okay, thank you. Okay,
That's good.
Joseph, just
Thank you, everyone.
can you hear me, right?
Yeah, I can hear you. I can hear you. Yep.
Just copy what I say. I solemnly swear
I solemnly swear
that I will faithfully support the Constitution and the law of the United States of America,
that I will faithfully support the Constitution and the law of the United States of America,
Constitution and law of the State of Hawaii,
Constitution and law of the State of Hawaii,
the Charter and laws of the City and County of Honolulu.
Did you say the charter?
Yes.
Oh, the charters and laws of the State of Honolulu.
And the provision of the neighborhood plan.
And the provision of the neighborhood plan.
I will conscientiously and impartially discharge my duties.
I will conscientiously, and I missed the second part about starting my duties.
And impartially discharge my duties.
And I will impartially discharge my duties.
To the best of my ability as a member.
To the best of my ability as a member.
Of the neighborhood board to which I have been elected or appointed.
Of the neighborhood board to which I have been elected.
Okay, you're good.
Thank you.
Now part of it.
Thank you so much. Yeah, it's great to be part of the council. I really appreciate it.
Now you could vote.
Yes, now we can vote. Okay, we will coming out of recess at this time. It is 8:43. We'll move on to presentations. The first on the agenda right now is the Center for Resilient Neighborhoods at Kapi'olani Community College. Is anybody from the Center for Resilient Neighborhoods at Kapi'olani Community College in with us at this time? I'm not hearing anything though. I'm not seeing any hands raised or voices. At this time, I guess we'll have to move on to the next item if nobody's here for that, which is the resolution requesting a full EIS of the Alawai Canal Bridge. I believe, Laura, as a resident, was the one who offered this draft resolution. So, Laura, go ahead and state what the summarize your resolution, and as a full disclosure, please keep in mind also that this resolution comes to us solely from Laura. This was not requested by any of the other neighborhood board chairs. Laura, please go ahead.
Yes, first of all, I'd like to request that one of the board members do put it forward to the board so that they can do a vote on it after the discussion. Is that sufficient? You, Robert, or anyone else can do that. And this is, let me just explain, and we asked, and if there was a time limit,
Speak
very
louder,
quick.
Laura. Can you have a microphone by you?
There's a teeny
Why
microphone
don't you
here.
come sit here?
Um,
Why don't you sit right next to the
we
microphone?
got all of this stuff out here. So, yeah.
Here, let me move.
Want to sit here? No, it's okay. No, I don't want to. Okay.
Anybody screen share the resolution also?
It should have been, because it's on the agenda, it should have also been posted on your website. Other than that, I have ones here, Ellen.
It was emailed to the board earlier by Anson a couple of days ago. Let me see if I will bring it up now and try to see if I can do a screen share on my side.
Okay. That's good.
There we go. Somebody's done it for me. Thank you.
Scroll just a little bit down, just scroll slightly, if I can tell. I can hardly see it from here.
That's it.
Oh, yeah, that's it.
That's it.
Okay. Okay. Okay, the reason why I'm bringing this forward, first of all, the Diamond Head Board has already approved one just about like this, and we hope that other boards will also approve this. One of the things that this general plan is to build a supposed bridge over the LOI Canal without having community input at all. And they may have said this on their websites and all that, but this is not actually in fact. What I'm concerned about is that we are all part of the LOI watershed, and that starts from the very top of Manoa all the way down through Waikiki. And so we have to be concerned about all of this. One of the things that I'm asking, and I put in the first part of the resolution, is all of the special district resolutions, the ordinances and everything else that have not been fully vetted yet. They have not been filed, they've not been approved. And the one major one, it's at the very last one I said, is the zero build in Waikiki. People earlier today were talking about how they can't see Waikiki anymore. Well, this is a real example of how you can't see Waikiki again if something like this is built. So the zero build and the Waikiki Special District and the Diamond Head Special Districts all suggest that there should be very careful planning for anything that goes and intrudes in these particular areas. In connection with Manoa, and the reason why it's connected is because they have proposed that 1,500 to 4,000 people will be crossing that bridge every day. Where are they going? They're going to come right up to Puxali and right up into Manoa. You're going to have the greater impact also that we're going to have in the lower part of Manoa and Mo'iliili. So this is the reason why we want to do this is what it's called. It's the human impact on the human environment, the quality of the human environment, which consists of the physical, cultural, historical, and human environments. With a draft EA, that's why you should do that also with a Manoa Banyan Court. The draft EAA is a real shorthand, a very small kind of view of things. But the full EIS is a cumulative impact of everything that's going on. And that includes the future impact. What is the impact on anything that would be called infrastructure, for example? So I don't want to go on too long with what I have here, because basically it's just about requesting a full EIS, and it should be done everywhere in our larger community. So I'm open for questions, and I can give you a lot more background. There's loads more background I could give you, but in the interest of doing something that this is a very targeted type of resolution, and it concerns all of us in all of our larger community. And I hope that you will consider it as your sponsorship and your community involvement. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Now, I'm going to ask the board first if we have a motion to consider the resolution. Is there a motion?
I'll make that motion.
Thank you,
We have
Ellen.
a second.
I'll second.
Dave seconds.
Yeah, okay.
Member Volso second, so we can now discuss the resolution. So first off, let's see if comments regarding the resolution. Member Watson, is there a hand raised for that?
Yes, it is.
Ed?
Thank you, Chair. There's two things. I think if you go back to the title and you scroll down to the title, I think it has to be, an amendment has to be included that puts like a parentheses, site of proposed pedestrian bridge, as opposed to just a description of the streets. So this resolution is about the site of the proposed pedestrian bridge. So I don't know, Robert, if you can type that in there
Let's see if I can get a Word document version and
as a reference, right?
right.
And
So
then I
let
have
me
one other change.
Yeah, thank you.
let me
Yes,
see if I can.
that is accurate. Thank you. I tried to make it as the site, but it's very accurate that it is about the proposed bridge, yes.
Okay, so enable editing. Let's see if I could do track changes. And if I can, let's see if I can be able to pull up my screen to share regarding this.
Thank you, Robert.
Okay. Can anybody see the resolution in the Word document format on my
Right.
screen?
Yep.
Track changes on. So the proposed change is to add resolution to request a full EIS for the proposed pedestrian bridge over the Alawai Canal
Right.
located at
Right.
University Avenue and Keamoku Street,
Great.
and delete that. Does that look right?
Yeah, that looks good. And then I want to go down to the first be it resolved section.
Changing it down to the be it resolved section. Okay.
Right. And where it says the first sentence that the previous board suggested whatever seriously in the community, but the resolution was ignored, thus I want to take that out of there because
We'll
the
take
be
what
it
out of there?
resolved section is asking for what you want. It's not griping about what you didn't get. So I want to strike the previous neighborhood board resolution suggested, seriously respect the community wishes, but that resolution was ignored. And then you can just say, take out the 2024, strike out the 2024, and just say this resolution urges the city and county to prepare a full EIS. And then I think it's fine.
I agree. Thank you, Ellen.
So it is let's see, city council to prepare a full EIS. Okay, so this is a non-contentious
Do you think,
amendment.
do you think you want to use environmental impact statement, at least in the beginning? And then in the body, call it EIS?
That's a good
I
point
agree.
as well.
I agree.
So let me just get that back.
Up at the top, Robert.
Yep.
Asking for a full environmental assessment. Yeah, thank you.
So
That's a good point, Joe.
impact statement.
In parentheses, EIS.
Yes.
Because that, you'll refer to it later as EIS all the way.
There is
Yeah, put a
where-
parenthesis, environmental
EIS.
impact statement, parenthesis, EIS, parenthesis.
If you notice, the third whereas paragraph does spell out environmental impact statement, which is the next time that phrase is used, and then after that it has the parentheses EIS, so that would already cover it.
We got it, okay.
Is that member Moylan who has hand raised over there? Hanson?
Yep.
Go ahead.
Thank you. I'm going to oppose this motion for two reasons, one general and one specific.
The motion, just to make sure I understand you correctly, first off, you're opposing the motion to on the agenda, correct?
Yes.
To approve the resolution.
Yes.
Okay, go ahead.
So the general reason is I don't believe that any neighborhood board should be making resolutions about projects that are in other people's neighborhoods. And I would really take it amiss if someone in some other neighborhood board decided to make a resolution about a project in Manoa. I think the neighborhood board where the project is located is the one that has the most credibility. And for others to chime in, it puts us in danger of something that all of us neighborhood boards are in danger of, which is looking like a bunch of NIMBYs, okay? So I do not think in general, regardless of what the project is, we should be weighing in on it in someone else's neighborhood. But in the case of this specific thing, this is not the first time I've dealt with a bridge project that had local opposition. Bridges do not create traffic. They disperse traffic. And what is screamingly needed in Waikiki is to get people out of their cars, which is why this long-standing project has been proposed. Months ago in the paper, a city staffer wrote in about recent neighborhood opposition to the project, saying this thing has been in the works for years. There have been many public meetings on it, and a bunch of people have found out about it late in the game and are trying to oppose it. Not in my backyard. That's a standard thing you see in communities. I've dealt with it before in other cities. But in this case, the thousands of people who we hope would use a pedestrian bridge are people that are currently driving around the canal in their cars to park in Waikiki or elsewhere. It'll take cars off the road, which is something this city desperately needs. And so on that specific ground for this project and the general reason I don't think we should be making resolutions about other people's neighborhoods, I'll vote against this motion.
Can I come in?
No.
Okay, thank you very much. Let's see. Member Lee.
Hi, I had a general question. Will this bridge have steps to go up or a ramp? So would it be able to accommodate ADA, like people in wheelchairs? Or if there's steps, they won't be able to?
I think it has to.
Or
It'll have a
they
ramp.
won't be able to take
It'll have a ramp.
bicycles, like a bicycle over the bridge?
We'll have a ramp.
Can I give you some accurate information, if you would allow me to? It's proposed to be way up in the air, and there'll be a tremendous ramp that will be about 150 feet off ramp on the Mauka side, and a big zigzag that will be about the size of 3 hook and ladder trucks on the other side of zigzag coming back down. So it will be ADA compliant, whatever. The trouble is, the bridge is also proposed for 20 feet wide. That's a vehicle distance, whereas all the rest of our bicycle paths here are 10 feet wide everywhere. So you figure it out, what is being overbuilt, something like that.
Okay.
I have a lot more to say about it, but go ahead and I'll try to answer.
Let's see. The other person has his hand raised. Member Fox, go ahead.
Thank you. I would like to comment regarding whether it is appropriate for this neighborhood association to make comment about another district. You know, we're neighborhood associations, and we have to unite together often about whether we're changing congressional boundaries or whether we're changing city council districts. It is always the purpose of a neighborhood association to speak on behalf of the city as a whole, mainly because it is always an impact to one other's neighborhood. And they expect us to support them or oppose them, but we have to be in that conversation. To imply that we're stepping on somebody's toes by voting on this resolution is absolutely false. In fact, what that does is it supports a very colonial, nepotistic concept which we suffer from on this island, and we have since the time of the takeover. It's not, oh, can't do that because we're going to be hurting somebody's auntie or uncle or cousin, and you can't do that because they're not related. It's so bogus. I'm sorry. We must actually care about Kalihi. We have to care about Liliha. We have to care about Kapalama. If we don't, then the least powerful neighborhood associations are thrown under the bus, and the more powerful neighborhood associations get what they want. Is that the kind of city you want? No. We lend our strength, we lend our support, we lend our concept, we lend our understanding and our expertise to each other in order to build a better city. Regarding this particular resolution, I support it, and I'll tell you why. The design of this bridge is so extraordinarily flawed. I own a property like right across where this bridge is going to be. Oh God, I'd be convenient for me. But you know what? The ramping effect of this bridge is so onerous on the Waikiki side, it makes it basically, and I'm disabled by the way, just so you know, I could not use this bridge. Trying to go up 4 different ramps to get to the bridge that's going across would be so impossible. The angle of those ramps, trying to be ADA compliant, and they are, is fine, except that the U-turn, pin turn to get down is not feasible if you happen to be disabled. A wheelchair would have a really, really difficult time using it. And this bridge is not for wheelchairs. This is for mopeds and for bicycles and for people walking. So to try to equate this bridge with common sense cannot be done. It's a completely flawed design. Somebody should have, I mean, the problem is you've only got so many feet from the Alawai Canal to Alawan. That's it. Trying to build another bridge without being a regular traffic bridge is nigh on to impossible without making people bend over backwards trying to do this thing. It's just a very, very poorly made design in the first place. And number two, I'm concerned about the impact it has on Manoa, because guess what? That bridge is going to be in a place where it goes right up to University Avenue. So we already have probably moped gangs coming into Manoa. Do I really want to have more? No. But I'm going to leave it at that. Those are my comments. But please think about this, folks. It is your right and your responsibility to support other neighborhood associations when they see something that they don't need and they don't want. If we leave them to be thrown under the bus, what do you think is going to happen to us?
Thank you for your comments. And again, to clarify, this is coming from, this request was made by the member of community Laura. I did not receive a request yet from the neighborhood board of the Diamond Neighborhood Board or any of the neighborhood boards regarding this particular resolution. I'm just saying for the fact that this is coming from a member of the community, and I have not received a communication directly from any of the neighborhood boards regarding this resolution.
May I support this resolution, Robert?
Absolutely. And you are free to
Thank
do
you.
so. I'm just stating that for the record, that just to clarify based on your comments, I totally understand and agree with your point about staying together with other neighborhood boards. I'm just saying as a fact that I did not receive this through those neighborhood boards. Everything
I
is directly from
apologize for not writing you before this meeting, but I did read the resolution and it made total sense to me. So I was presuming that it had been supported by a neighborhood board member. My apologies that I did not understand that no one had. But I appreciate a member in good standing of our community bringing this to the neighborhood board's attention, because I'll tell you what, writing a resolution is not easy.
Oh no,
So
it's
that
not
was a
easy.
lot of work and time.
And absolutely, absolutely, and again, I understand that. This is why we're listening to this tonight, because it was requested by a member of our community to be put on the agenda, and as a result, it is having its time of day. And the board decided in their vote earlier that it should have the time of day to have us discuss this versus passing it off. So this is why we are listening to it now. So moving on, I see a hand raised from the room. Anson, is somebody else over there that wants to speak? Is that Laura or?
Yeah,
Joan
Laura.
Koff. Joan Koff.
Oh, Joan, I will get to you in a moment. First,
Okay.
Anson, I'm going to recognize the whoever has their hand raised at Kapala Mahali.
It's Laura Ruby.
Yes, just a
Laura,
point.
go ahead.
Take my
Yeah, just a point of clarification. We are all community members in community neighborhood boards, but we all care about the larger community. For example, if people wanted to write something about Red Hill or something like that. Right now, just in this one, we had the primary urban center development plan, and some people wanted to weigh in on that. That's the larger community. So what we're talking about here is an EIS, environmental impact statement, that's just the statement that gives the previous past, and it goes all the way through into the current time, into the future, how it will play out in the future. It's not about even how a bridge design, as somebody mentioned, was poorly designed. It was mentioned at this point. It's about finding out how the community, the human beings, historically, culturally, socially, are able to use this whole site that's here. And the same will be due if you, I hope you'll do it for the Manoa Banyan Court, and anything else that's coming our way. We have to catch these before they do the very simplified draft EAs. It's about our community and it's about our future. Thank you.
Thank you. Member Koff.
Yes, I think this strategy of using a more complete environmental impact study will be of great value in providing our goals to stop the overdevelopment of this community. And I agree heartily that we have every right and incentive to speak about a neighborhood that's not even 8 blocks, 10 blocks from University Avenue and King Street, our Manoa neighborhood. This is not like 3,000 miles away, It's going to definitely impact our life, Our kids use that Alawai for their canoe practice, and what will happen to that treasured sport if we build a bridge and destroy the canoe house? What will happen then? So I think we need to study that before we give a carte blanche to this eyesore, actually, my view. Anyway, thank you.
Thank you. I'm having issues with the ability to see any other hands raised on my screen. If anybody else has any members of the board have any comments regarding the resolution as is.
Right? Go.
I'm not hearing any. I don't hear any requests for amendments regarding the language on the resolution. At this time, I will call for a roll call vote.
Rosal, raise her hand.
Can you just call for the vote on the amendments and the resolution? You don't need to do a roll call. You can ask if anyone's opposed, yeah.
I believe we've already had one person say that they are opposed.
Because he opposed it, we have to do a roll call. But we do the amendments first and then the resolution, and then we move on to the next, yeah?
They are but the amendments were the word is giving me right now.
The
But they
amendments
weren't
were the changes you made.
Right, I know, but I'm saying that the changes were okayed by the person who drafted. They weren't contentious amendments. In which case, because they were not contentious amendments, they do not necessarily have to be voted upon.
Sorry, Chair, are we asking whether, this is Member Vosel, are we asking whether we're voting on passing the resolution now, or simply on discussing it and having it on the agenda? Are we doing a full roll call vote on having it on
We-
the agenda?
No,
the vote.
We're passing it
Yeah,
or
this
not.
this is this next vote, because the amendments were not
Non-substantive.
deemed as
Yeah.
well they were so they were a bit substantive, but they weren't uncontested either by the person who created the resolution and proposed the resolution. As such, they are considered as friendly amendments, and they do not need to be voted upon. In which case, the vote now.
Oh, sorry.
is-
I was trying to raise my hand for further discussion. Do I still have a chance at that, Chair?
Yes, you do. You still have a chance. I did not see that you had it. Go ahead.
I'll make it very brief in that I do agree that solidarity across, neighborhoods makes sense. I think we have strength in numbers, and that this resolution is not calling against the bridge per se, but rather just for it to have full study. And I think that in my view, is well qualified. Thank you.
Thank you. Now, at this time, I'm going to call for a vote to approve the amended resolution as is. And as there was a vote, a person who expressed opposition to the, yeah, Anson?
Are you saying that to adopt the resolution with amendments or as is?
With
amendments.
with the amendments as with the amendments that with the friendly amendments added to it.
They were already made, and that's what he means by as is.
Okay. Okay, no, that's good.
Yep. So
You're okay.
again, this is going to be a vote for the amendment, for the resolution with the friendly amendments included. Because there was a opposition or a person who was saying that they were going to oppose it, we will go to a roll call vote. Anson, please do a roll call vote.
Okay. Wait, can someone move in second with the amendment? Because this is a different motion now.
Thank you for correcting my dad.
I moved for it. Robert, you
Moving
seconded
to
it.
vote. Well,
I
no.
seconded it, yes.
Okay, so moved and seconded. Moved by Ellen Watson, seconded by member Robert Fox.
Okay.
So now we will have the roll call vote, please.
Okay. When I call your name, say yay, no, or abstain. Okay. Zane.
Aye.
Okay. Watson.
Aye.
Bozo.
Aye.
Nagaji.
Aye.
Fukumoto. Down here. Lumen.
Aye.
Kaylee.
Aye.
Koff.
Aye.
Tom.
Aye.
Moylan.
Nay.
Guano.
Aye.
And Fox.
Aye.
Okay. That's 10 yay, 1 no, and 0 abstain. The motion is passed.
Did our new member not already join?
Wait,
Yeah,
Joseph.
that's right.
Okay.
We need
It's
to have
okay.
Joseph.
I say aye.
Okay, sorry, I forgot to. Okay.
We'll include
so that's
Joseph in that as well.
Yeah, that's 11 yay, 1 no, and 0 abstains. So the motion still passes.
Thank you very much. Motion passes, and the resolution with the amendments will be has been adopted. Minor changes will be made for grammar to correct it that will not affect the substance of the resolution as is. Moving on to the next item on the agenda.
Can you
Chair,
put up the
oh,
next
sorry.
resolution, Robert?
Yes, that is what I was about to say. On the next item on the agenda would be the resolution regarding the to preserve the legacy and mission of the College of Education at the University of Hawaii Manoa campus. Is the person who proposed the resolution available to do a brief summary about it?
Yep, she's here.
Yeah.
Please go ahead. You have the floor.
Yeah.
Yes, I wanted to bring to your attention that the David Lasner in the University of Hawaii at Manoa is planning to move the College of Education across the street to a building that's not yet built, and that the College of Education has been a part of the University of Hawaii at Manoa for ever since 1931. It's very important. It provides teachers for Hawaii, also graduate education for teachers and doctoral studies for people that are researchers as well as teachers. And that it's the property is on the corner of Metcalf and University. It's 24 acres. There are a number of buildings on that property, all related to education, and that Lasner is planning on creating a sort of mini shopping mall and places for people to have cafes and possibly a bar and so on, as what he calls a university town, which I don't think it should not be in that particular location. And I think it would change your neighborhood greatly, having that a commercial, private, public partnership there. I also think that it's inappropriate to be giving up land that is much needed for the University of Hawaii and for the college to a commercial agreement. And so the resolution is, be it resolved that the University of Hawaii at Manoa not relinquish the College of Education land for non-College of Education use in any public-private agreement. And that be it resolved that the University of Hawaii maintain exclusive control of College of Education land for the future development of the College of Education to better serve the mission and needs for public education in Hawaii.
Thank you very much. Before we move on to questions, we do need a motion to discuss the resolution. Members of the board?
Like to discuss it?
I need a motion to open discussions on this thing.
This is Dave, a motion for discussion.
Motion by member Nagaji. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second by member Watson. The floor is open for discussions for potential amendments and changes to the resolution. Member Fox.
I just need some clarity here. Is this parcel of Metcalf University, isn't that the area where they have the high school for
Lab school.
members of
The lab high school, yeah.
it's the high school area, right? So many of
It's also the Everly and Wist Hall are administration buildings on that for the College of Education. Also the lab school, also the childhood center that is for faculty and students for daycare and early childhood education. And then some buildings for Castle Memorial. And there's also a publishing University of Hawaii publishing, educational publishing system there too. So there's a number of buildings. At the lab school that burned down was there on that land. And so anyway, there's just a number of buildings all related to education and that are there. And it is the whole area on Metcalf and University. It's that whole corner. And also you'll notice when you drive by there, that there's a lot of also green area there, that it improves the whole attraction of the University of Hawaii at Manoa, because there's a lot of green grass and trees and so on there. And it would be really terrible to turn that into something that is not really appropriate for education or really for the future the university attractiveness to anyone.
If I may.
Thank you.
Sorry. Sorry. Did you want to say something,
If I
Robert?
can continue here.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah,
Sorry
because
about
I'm
that,
not
Robert.
quite done. I thought I was correct. You know, I live on University. I'm like 2 blocks away from where this development is, but I'm not trying to be personal about this. If I recall, we just had a discussion about the improvement of land on the corner of Baratania and University Avenue, how they were going to demolish Blazing Estates, blah, 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 and they were going to make this big old development, and we all said that was great. Now we're talking a couple of blocks away from that. They're wanting to develop again. I'm concerned about anybody who wants to like develop stuff, because what happened, we just developed the land of the Abington YWCA and made that into student housing. They did a great job of historic preservation of the building, but excuse me, folks, a rather tall building went into place there, and it cut. There's something called sunshine law. You know, about, do you actually have airspace? Do you have view space? Do you have workable space when you build a property? So if we tear down the old house bill, and which has been there for as long as I can remember, and I've been here 40 years in Manoa. Number one, it's going to be built right across from that newly improved YWCA that turned into student housing with a commercial space downstairs. So they just lose their views. And we have more density in the neighborhood, and it's not even dedicated to affordable housing. It's not dedicated to student housing. It's not dedicated to anything that we have an ethical responsibility to support. I don't know how I grasp my head around development of that parcel for pure profit and greed. I don't know. And I'm a real estate broker. You know, I totally get into profit and greed, but
where is this?
wow, you know, that's a problem.
Okay. Thank you for that. My comments on this is that I believe this board has recently passed a resolution in support of university labs as well. And the University of Hawaii also responded saying that they did not plan on moving UH labs and its facilities in a previous board meeting. I'm okay with doing redundant resolutions to continue our support for the university, the current situation with university labs and where they're located. I just wanted to clarify if this proposed plan, which the University of Hawaii has come to this board and said that's not happening, is what is also being discussed here. Because these rumors keep on popping up about the potential of University of Labs moving locations, or the College of Education moving locations as well. And then University of Hawaii comes back and says, no, that's not the case. I just want to make sure that this is what's happening again.
Well, right now, it's, the plan is, of course, it's not happening yet because Lasner hasn't, been able to start doing it. But I think the thing is that that's what the college people are planning on doing. And part of the background is that someone wants to get a hold of that land. We don't know who, but they've been wanting to get a hold of that land out of university hands for a number of years, and someone wants to get that land. So to me, it's a land grab, and that's public land. People in Hawaii care about education. That's why they started having a college of education there on the campus in 1931. So what about our legacy in education? Are we willing to just, let a developer come in and use that land? I think it's a big mistake. And so it's a possibility that this would happen. And I think part of it, the problem is people in the community don't know about this. They don't know that this plan is there. And so I think we need to speak up about it. and more people need to know about it.
Thank you. Do we have members of the board? Any other? Oh, I do see hands raised. Member Nagaji.
Chair, I'm still making my mind about the current resolution before us, but to your comment about our prior resolution regarding University Lab School and the University of Hawaii statements about it. So the situation, as I recall, is that people came in to one of our meetings raising the concern that there was going to potentially be that the University Lab School is going to lose its current site, and what the University of Hawaii representative Elmer said, and I believe he said this multiple times, was that the University of Hawaii has no immediate plans to remove the University Lab School from its site. And I'm not sure if this was accurate on my part or if I read too much into it, but because he specified that there were no immediate plans, my interpretation of that at the time was that it meant that there were not so immediate plans to move the University Lab School, and that's why I put in that reso a year ago. So that's my understanding of that situation. And I'm not sure if there is more than just rumors, but yeah, that was just my thoughts on what was said back then.
Thank you for the clarification on that. Member Watson.
Thank you. A couple of things. On this resolution, I don't know that for any resolution that our neighborhood board wants to tell the university that cannot move one of its departments or its colleges to another building that they're going to build. I don't know if we have the right to say that just because the College of Education has always been in those buildings by the lab school, by PBS site, that therefore it can't ever be moved. I don't know that we can get into the Menini details like that, right? Of telling the university what they can and cannot do with one of their colleges. But I agree with Dave Nagaji. I think the UH Lab School people that presented to us were right. I think the university is planning on kicking them out. I think they do want to move the College of Education, and I do think they want to tear it all down and build shopping malls and greeting places and eating places and a bunch of development things. And they probably are, that's prime land. And so, but I just think it's premature. And I think on any resolution that we would pass, we have to talk about, I think Manoa would be opposed to the commercial development of that green space. But I don't know that I feel comfortable with saying you can't move a particular college to another building. I just feel like that's micromanagement. And I think and any resolution can never call out David Lassner because he's just a representative of the university. So I think that's inappropriate to be in any resolution, him by name, and by June, he's going to be retired and the next guy will be in there representing the university. So I just think it's premature for this resolution, and it's too bad Elmer wasn't here, but we have some very pointed questions to ask him, very pinned down questions to ask him or another representative of the university, so we know what is the not foreseeable plans, but the future plans for this site, because I do think they want to kick them out, and I do think they want to sell it to a developer or private partnership or whatever and develop it for things that we don't want. So but I think it's too premature for this resolution. We need to ask the university and put them on the record. Yeah.
Thank you for your comments on that. Member Kawano.
Thank you, Chair. I completely agree with Member Watson and Nakaji. I wanted to ask more questions that, is there a definite plan? Also, Elmer's not here at this meeting. And, the point that, yeah, I agree, we shouldn't be messing with if the UH has a plan moving departments within his camp, but I think it is his own right. And I don't think it's any of the Manoa Neighborhood Board's concern. You know, they should be able to run their own university with the border region. It's really not our Kuileana, so I think we should defer this bill. And if we go for a vote, I will not support this. Thank you.
Thank you. Member Bosel.
Thank you, Chair. I think in light of all of this, we had in the zoning committee over a year ago, a meeting with Elmer, and it was meant to be about the master plan, but I think it shows that we ought to have a presentation from Elmer or other folks from UH on not so much like the vision that they broadly see for UH, which is unfortunately what got presented to us last time a lot, but that really drills down into all of the physical changes, all of the development, traffic, buildings, circulation, you know, as much as attendance or whatever might affect the built environment and the capacity of the Manoa neighborhoods around the UH campus, we ought to ask Elmer to, or other folks in the planning department there to present a comprehensive master plan and set aside a good chunk of time in an upcoming meeting. And I would, say that it ought to not be too far down the line, considering it does seem that they have plans that may not be immediate, as in like not going for permitting, but we know that the longer things get in development, the harder it is to move. And I think what the community always feels is that they want to be involved in these conversations from the start. They want to develop with the institutions or organizations around them the possibilities of how their built environment is going to be changed. So yeah, I think you as chair maybe can reach out to Elmer regarding this, because this has now come up a couple times with the lab school, with this, and we need a lot of clarification on all of these issues, I'd say.
Thank you very much. And I do agree.
That's something you can do, Robert. Can you call Elmer and tell him that at our next board meeting, we'd like some presentation about the lab school area and potential development or something? Because I agree with Whitney. We really need some to pin him down in the discussion, I think we do.
I think at this point, because the rumors have been spreading about a lot, this keeps on recurring and keeps popping its head up on several occasions. If somebody's willing to work with me on getting Elmer or somebody else from the university who may be more familiar with about this than Elmer, since Elmer's kind of more like the general questions guy. We need somebody more specific to ask about these issues. I'm all for it, and working with them on where somebody else on the board to help me get in contact with Elmer, considering my schedule.
I can do that, Chair. I volunteer. I was speaking with him already about our and this I think will come up later in as far as location for the neighborhood board meeting. So I can reach out to see who we can best speak with about that. But I agree with one of you just said that I don't know that Elmer is actually going to know the most about the physical plans for this. So I think we need to find another point person at UH about this.
Right.
I can reach out to Elmer about that, about finding who that person is.
Thank you very much, Whitney. So if you and I can work on that, that's great. In the meantime, though, we still do have this proposed resolution in front of us.
I need to say something.
Oh, sorry, who's that?
Oh, it's Laura Rupee.
Yeah, the first is our
Laura,
board member, and then me.
Oh.
Chair, point of order. Member Moylan's had his hand up for a while, and he's a board member, so I think he gets precedence in order.
You're right. I apologize, Member Moylan. I did not. I see Anson's name up there, and I didn't try to on the small screen over here when they're sharing the resolution language. I cannot see people's members who have their hands raised, so I do apologize. Member Moylan, please go ahead.
That's totally okay, Mr. Chair. Yes, we knew you were having trouble seeing the hands up. This is one reason it's hard to have meetings over Zoom. I think that Member Watson made a good distinction between two aspects of this document that was given to us. One is don't do anything to the College of Education, which really is, as she says, an internal matter for UH. And the other is don't get rid of the land, which is something that is a big deal, a general problem. So while it's perfectly reasonable if it's not really time urgent to push this off to another month to get to see if we hear from UH and et cetera, the capitalized letters she's got on the back page of this, the actual resolution part, could be very easily tweaked to meet Member Watson's concern. You could simply take college of out of the first paragraph, saying university does not relinquish the College of Education land for non-education use. That would take care of that, I think. And then in the second one, you could just strike for the future development of the College of Education and just say the university should maintain exclusive control of the College of Education land to serve the mission and needs of public education. And in other words, you separate the two things that Member Watson pointed out that are, one of which we may be overstepping our role, and the other which is a perfectly reasonable thing to say about our neighborhood. So should we choose to pass this on to next month, that's perfectly fine. Should we choose to want to do something about it tonight, that would be my suggestion. Thank you.
Thank you. So Member Moylan, just so I understand your proposed amendments correctly. So if you are able to look at the screen over here, if there's a screen over there, on the last paragraph, it'll read, be it resolved that the University of Hawaii and Manoa not relinquish the College of Education land for non-College of Education use, semicolon, and be it resolved that University of Hawaii should maintain control of the College of Education's land, period?
No, almost. Let me say it again. So I'll write a suggested amendment to the first of the two all caps sentences. Be it resolved that the University of Hawaii and Manoa not relinquish the College of Education land for non-education use in any public-private agreement. So it's almost the same as as the existing sentence with like two words out. And then the second one would be it resolved that the University of Hawaii maintain exclusive control of College of Education land. And you got to put a C in education, by the way.
Yeah,
To serve the mission and needs for public education in Hawaii. I took out the better because I can't stand to split an infinitive, but if you want to leave it in there, that's okay. And that way, I think that addresses Member Watson's good point. But of course, we can do this all next month too if you want.
Yeah, I think that would be
I
a
think
good
I think
suggestion
we got to hear from the university
that
to
amendment.
even
I
know
like
if
it.
we're gonna
Sorry,
pass this
there's two people
resolution at all.
Hold on. Pause for a moment. First off, I believe the person who proposed the resolution had comments about the proposed amendment by Member Moylan. Please go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say, I approve of this change in the resolution. And I think it's important for people to realize too that it seemed to me the purpose of moving the College of Education to another building was to free up that land. So I think it would be very much to the point to change it like this, because it's really the question of the land.
Right.
And, as I've said in other things I've written, once you give up that land, it's gone. And, the University of Hawaii doesn't have a lot of land. And so I think that's a good way to do this resolution.
Am I able to make a comment?
I don't think that, I think the resolution should be worked on quite a bit, because this resolution would imply that you could use this land still in a private it's very vague what means non-education use, and it could still be used for meeting rooms with coffee and food for education, you know, general education. It's too, I don't think it's going to do it for us. I think we need to know the plan, what they intend to do first, and then write the resolution that if one is appropriate for us. Myself. Thank you.
Okay. Because this is a board discussion, I'm limiting comments primarily to members of the board as well as the person who proposed the resolution. Seeing the comments and also knowing the fact that it's already 9:40 p.m. as well, I do apologize. I do see a hand raised over in the meeting room, but I will have to cut this short.
Chair,
At this time, oh, sorry. This is Member Bolsel.
yes, I was just gonna see if I could make a motion to table this resolution until until the next meeting or the following, once we have potentially had a more clarification from the university.
Right, and then I was also going to say as well, if the board decides to decline to approve this resolution, with the amendments, amendable amendments included, it doesn't mean that we will not bring up a similar resolution in the future. And this resolution or a similar one to it is more than likely to be presented to the board at again in a future time to be able to incorporate additional comments that we could receive at that later time. Rather than tabling this resolution, which means we would have to bring up this exact same resolution in the future. So it might be more amenable to, if the board decides to decline to vote on the resolution, and it fails, then it can be brought up again with a revised resolution can be brought up to the board's attention at that time.
Got a motion on the floor.
Chair,
Chair,
knowing the
it was
time, I
just
just want
brought up,
to second.
not for
second,
voting. It was just
Oh, wait.
brought up for discussion. So it
Brought
needs
up-
a lot
right,
of
so
work.
we would
So
need-
let's
so-
just end our
right.
discussion. We don't have to vote on it. It has to go back to the drawing board and we'll hear from the university and then we'll decide if they want to bring another resolution or Dave Nagaji or somebody wants to write a resolution. So we don't have to vote on this. It's just,
There's a motion on the floor. You do have to vote on that.
there was a motion to discuss it.
Yeah.
No, to table it.
So we
No, but
discussed
we
it.
initially had a
But
motion to discuss.
Right. So, but then you bring up a good point. Member Bosel's was a motion to table, and that does require if we want to do a second on that.
I'll second that.
Yes. Oh,
Oh, wait,
I'd like to make one comment.
By the way, there is no tabling things in the neighborhood board system, but
postpone. The
you
correct,
guys are all thinking about the legislature. There's no tabling.
Ellen, thank
So
you.
if the board just wants to not deal with this, then that's what you do.
We'll pause for a
Chair.
moment. Anson, can you
yeah,
make a
Chair's
comment on
right.
that?
So in this situation, we can't postpone it, or we could either just, the person who motioned this to withdraw their motion.
Chair, I'm withdrawing my motion, and if Member Watson withdraws her second, then this is just done for this month. We can talk about it
withdraw.
again next month.
All
right, we're done.
Oh, wait, actually, is it possible for Laura Ruby to just comment?
Yeah, Laura, you need to
We still
withdraw.
need,
I
public.
just want to say very quickly, for 34 years, I taught at UH. For 10 years, I was on Landscape Advisory Committee. We did a good landscape master plan. This big proposal, this new proposal constricts the campus. I've been to so many other campuses where you always expand the campus. They are constricting the campus. Think about the green space as you enter Founder's Gate and you move up into Manoa. It's the open green space that invites you into Manoa. And it's that space, 80 or 90% of all the parents and students that come onto the campus will be invited to come onto that campus. That's the bigger green spacing. Other big picture.
But not now. Will you withdraw this resolution, please?
Well, no, the other big picture is we need teachers. We need.
Chair,
good
point of
teachers.
order.
Point of order. Point
Chair.
of order.
No,
Point of
they will
order.
not be able to.
I
on
made
the
the
put
motion.
campus.
Member Watson seconded. We both withdrew. The motion is off the table. We can discuss it next month, but for today it's done. It's pushed back till next month, and we can talk about it more then.
I
After you and
agree with
Watson
Member
have
Nagaji and
done
I
fact
agree with Member
finding.
Watson. The discussion is done on this. This resolution is not has been removed for discussion, and it can be brought up at a later meeting of the neighborhood board. It is 9:45. We have 15 minutes to go over the last amounts of the agenda, which include community concerns. At this time, I am moving on to community concerns. The first one was a comment that somebody made to the neighborhood board that wanted to speak about Ike Nakea development. Is that person here tonight?
Yes, I'm still awake. Okay, so I know that they came and presented the proposal at the other meeting, and I missed that because I thought I was living in Makiki, the Mo'iliili Makali area, but then I found out I'm in the Manoa district, so I missed the presentation. So I'm wondering if, and I don't know what the neighborhood board reaction was to the proposal, but I am strongly against it, and I wanted the neighborhood board support. I mean, Senator Fukunaga said she was against it, and Representative Say was also working on that, and Representative Andrews said the same thing. But even though we have these people against it, that doesn't guarantee that it's not going to go up. And so I just wanted some help from this neighborhood committee if they can help me with the goal of not having it being built. That's plain and simple what the bottom line is. I have all these reasons why not, but the bottom line is, can I have some help? Because it seems that I cannot get enough people to come out. It's like only me. Well, it's late, right? It's almost 10 o'clock. Can't get people to come out to these meetings. So I'm kind of wondering, would this neighborhood board help me?
But Member Bolso, do you have any comments about this? I think we also have somebody from the Ike Nakea as well here. Member Bolso, you're muted still.
Thank you. Sorry about that. Thank you, Chair. Ella, as you've seen, you can bring a resolution to the board. And so if you want to know if we can help support you, you can look into crafting a resolution that then can be voted on by the board, which then will be transmitted to elected officials and things like that. But we only just had the presentation, quite recently of these developments. So it's pretty early in the process.
Okay, Laura, I'll contact you, okay? On how to write these resolutions.
Anson, I still see a hand raised over there as well. But is somebody want to discuss this particular subject, or is that something else entirely?
Something else entirely. Thank you very much, Chair.
Okay. Oh, sorry, was that Anson? I didn't hear him, that's why.
Oh, no, I said raising the hand was just a mistake. Yeah, we're good.
Okay. I believe Keegan?
Yeah. Hey guys. Thank you for bringing this up. This is my third time being at one of these meetings, so it's evident that we want to be listening to you guys. And so we've actually been asked to hold a 10-day comment period. So we're asking the community to send us comments on the proposed project by April 15th. You can do that by reaching out to us at our website, ikenakea.com. I put that in the chat just now. Or you can contact us through our email, which is also on our website, but it's ikenakeadevelopment@gmail.com. So yeah, if you could get those to us by April 15th, we'd be more than happy to respond to you if you have any questions or anything. But yeah, we're still receiving comments and analyzing the project further.
Thank you, Keegan. Member Bolsel?
Thank you. Keegan, in the spirit of what you just said, I think as Ella said, she didn't even realize what her neighborhood board was. And I think for a lot of folks on sort of the edges of communities, they don't have as strong of a community right in, that both like the grapevine or the already, relationship with their neighborhood board. If you really want to know now what the community thinks, I encourage you to put up signs in the neighborhood. Plaster the 5 blocks in every direction around where this project is going to go in with signs showing what the project is going to be, making it very clear where it is, what the changes are, and asking, and I think you need to extend that deadline because it should, the signs ought to be up at least 2 weeks before the comment period starts, especially if it's only a 10-day period. But if you really want, community involvement, when they feel that they still have a voice in that process, I think it needs to start early, and you need to get that word out every way possible, because a lot of folks do not pay attention to the neighborhood board. I mean, how many people are on this meeting tonight? And especially that is true at the edges of neighborhoods.
Yeah, I agree. And we can definitely look at that. I can just summarize our community outreach to date. We did announce a town hall that we had on March 4th, where over 100 people from the community came, and we talked about both of our projects at great length there. We have been receiving comments. We've been asked by Senator Fukunaga to do a 10-day comment period. But, we're still continuing to accept comments and, get responses together. We did have that town hall. We did do neighborhood board presentations. And we're continuing the dialogue and discussions with you guys. So appreciate that kind of insight, and we'll take a look at that.
Thank you. And just on a personal side for me, I do appreciate the fact that Ikenakea has been here for 3 board meetings. Many other developers have not shown once yet on major projects yet. And so the fact that Ikenakea is having a presence here for 3 meetings is greatly appreciated. I'm going to recognize Ian Ross next.
Thank you very much, Chair. This is on a different topic. Is that okay, Chair?
Just to clear, I just want to double check. Thank you for letting me know about that. Patty, did you want to talk about Ikenakea, or are you good?
Yes, a quick question, please.
Sure.
Chair, this is for Keegan. Last I read, and I haven't kept up with everything, that this project, you folks were looking to acquire a neighboring property from an elderly resident that had been in the family for a long time. What's the status of that? And if they're not willing to sell, would that impact your project? Is project still going to go on or not? That's my question.
Yeah, so at this time, we've decided not to pursue those sites. So that's changed the design quite considerably. And yeah, we're not pursuing those 2 single-family homes.
So that means you folks are still moving forward, but does that mean it's going to be a smaller building? What is the impact to your plan without that adjacent properties?
It's definitely smaller, less dense, less parking. And so we're analyzing our new design, looking into that, and we're getting ready to show you guys the results of that, as well as your guys' comments and your guys' input that you guys have shared over the past few months at a future time.
Okay, great. Yeah, I just wanted to know if you do a representation of the new design, it may answer some questions, and we'll see how they go. Thank you. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. That's surprising to hear too. Any other comments for Ikenakea?
Can I have
Ella, go ahead real quickly. We have 8 minutes left, that's why.
Yeah. Okay, so with that, what you just said, it's still gonna go up, but when it does go up, and then when you have all these public comments, is it just gonna be us and you? Back and forth, is this just us and you? Because it's not gonna go anywhere if it's just us and you. It gotta be somebody else, the legislator, I guess, to come and get involved too, right?
Yeah, so feel free to include the legislators in your guys' comments, but we'll be responding and putting a package together within our 201H application of all the community outreach that's been conducted.
Okay, because I was just worried. We already have 2 high schools within that area with all the traffic. So, okay, thank you.
Thank you. At this time, I'm going to move on to Ian.
Thank you, Chair Zane. First, I also just want to commend Ella. She had reached out to me following one of the presentations. I was able to help direct her towards this neighborhood board. I think a lot of residents, when they get concerned and start to try to navigate the neighborhood board system, very much to Member Bosel's point, can get kind of deterred. It can be a little difficult to navigate it. So I just want to commend her. I've been following up with some emails with her. Switching hats to the Manoa Lions Club. I am going to be announcing the date of the Manoa Christmas Parade for later this year. I know it's incredibly early to do it, but the permits have already gone in. It's going to be Sunday, December 1st at 4 p.m. So it's usually not on Sundays. So Sunday's a big change here. It's also much earlier in the month. It's still going to start at Noelani Elementary School. There's going to be more communication outreach with flyers and direct letters to businesses and residents because it might be unexpected. Some of the big reasons we moved it is we were running into a lot of conflicts with other parades. That day last year when we had it, I was in attendance, but I had to go to ones out in Waianae and Kapolei the same day, whole bunch of back and forths. We believe that this is going to have a less competition, which means we're going to have better attendance, which we think is better for the community. So we're going to be putting out that outreach. Similar things are going to apply. There's going to be parking restrictions for the day. And we're also coordinating, I think that's most of it right there. Are there any questions or anything you want us to take back to the Manoa Lions Club?
I have none. I just wanted to say on the person that Christmas comes even earlier each year.
Yeah, I know. I feel like the harbinger of it to come. I'm sorry. I'm not going to play Mariah Carey music just yet.
Thank goodness. I'm still trying to recover from the last session of all I want for Christmas. Any comments from the board or the community? Member Bosel? No? Okay.
Not on
Ian,
this. I have a different announcement for next.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you, Ian. Appreciate that.
All right. Aloha,
I'll
everyone.
recognize Member Bosel next then because we have 5 minutes left.
I just wanted to let folks know that the Manoa Outdoor Circle and the Malama Manoa are holding our biannual 1,000 plant and tree giveaway. I think I announced this at the last thing, but just getting the word out. April 21st, Sunday, April 21st. So coming up here, it will be at the UH President's House from 8 a.m. to noon or 11:30 actually. And so come and get a free plant. That's all.
Thank you very much. Let's see. Anybody have any comments regarding? Actually, Member Boso, while we're on you still, can you give us a brief description of what you talked about with Elmer regarding the
Yes.
in-person location?
In-person location for future Manoa Neighborhood Board meetings. He is looking into specifically the Institute for Astronomy, which is, I think, a very good location since we used to have meetings at Noelani, and this is directly across the street, and it's pretty central for us. So he's looking specifically into that. He's going to talk with the building manager there about you know, what room might work and all that, but as far as our capacity and he thought the parking situation at IFA would be a lot easier than the general campus due to night classes and something like that. So he is going to get back to me with that. And then he's also, I think, going to look at the press offices, which are essentially just a little bit further around the corner there if IFA doesn't work. But I think that IFA is probably the stronger contender at this time.
Okay. Is there any other comments that people want to make? Yes, Anson, unmute yourself and.
One quick thing, Whitney, have you contacted the church yet where Malama Manoa had the big celebration a few months back? They have a good rec or a social hall and plenty of parking. It would be a very close place for you rather than once you interfere with the university things, you have parking problems and other things like that. Try the church, what's on Lowry or wherever it is. I was there, it was plenty big.
Thank you. Thank you, Laura. A couple of different members were each in charge of contacting different people. I believe somebody reached out to a number of the churches. That was not me. Most other options had sort of already been determined to not work for one reason or another.
I believe member Nagachi has his hand raised on that particular point.
Yes. So I did get in touch with the pastor at the Seventh-day Adventist Church where we had a Malama Manoa event a few months ago. And he told me that he needed to get the approval of the church's board, and I've not yet heard back on whether their board has approved us.
Okay, so thank you for the update on that.
That would be a good site. The Seventh-day Adventist Church. The Manoa Valley Church can't do it because they close their building to the public or whatever at 8 o'clock or 9 o'clock or something. They can't have meetings past that and they don't have connectivity. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Since Elmore is looking into IFA, may I ask if anyone has any objections or concerns about the IFA location?
I think we need a little bit more information before at least I can comment on that. Anson, there's still a hand raised. Is there anybody else over there who wants to make a comment? Because it's 9:59.
Oh no, I forgot to take it down.
Okay. I'm sorry if anybody wants to comment about the IFA location. I think we need a little more information from Elmer. So hopefully at the next one. But first off, announcements. Next regular board meeting will be held on Wednesday, May 1st, 2024 via WebEx online platform at Kapalama Hale, conference room 153, because we haven't decided where to go in person yet in the Valley. Although rebroadcast, we'll watch on the second and fourth Saturdays of the month at 3 p.m. or every third Tuesday at 9 o'clock p.m. or online. And with that, it is 9:59 p.m. Turning into 10 o'clock. We are going to adjourn at this time. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for your patience tonight. We really appreciate your attendance and all your comments regarding all these issues. Have a good night. We will see you at the next meeting.
Good night, everyone.